Welcome to episode 30 of the SEGA Swingin Report Show. I'm Barry, and this week we are going to have a special edition podcast. Instead of talking about news and stuff like that, we're going to talk about 10 years of first-rate third-party SEGA games. And before we get into that, let's do what we've been up to and what we've been playing. Let's start with George, who's with us tonight.
Hi, my name is George. What I've been playing and what I've been doing.
Yeah.
I got a new video card for my PC, so that's all. So I had a bunch of games already queued up. So I've been playing as much games as I can. So I've been playing stuff like Super Meat Boy didn't even run on my old video card, so that was pretty pathetic.
Wow.
Like it ran, but like it was laggy on high definition.
Mm-hmm.
But now it runs super smooth. Now I can run all like Crisis and stuff. Some other games I had already because I got them on Steam sales. So I'm pretty happy. I'm probably gonna replay Binary Domain on PC just because I kind of want to play with some of the PC bros, like
Nice.
Invasion Mode.
The cool kids.
The cool kids, yeah. The gaming gods they call themselves because they get everything in perfect and on their power PCs they call themselves.
Nice.
But yeah, that's all I've been up to pretty much. Nothing. Oh, and then last week the whole drama. But besides that, I'm pretty good.
Cool. And next we have Jason, also known as
Shigs.
Yeah, you did it. So what have you been up to and what have you been playing?
Oh, last weekend I went to WonderCon, which is basically San Diego Comic-Con's little brother that's normally in San Francisco, but
Like
this
the creepy
year
one?
it was in Anaheim.
Like the creepy brother?
Yeah, like the creepy little brother.
It's like they put like cameras in the bathroom. It's like just the sleazy version of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nothing really much new there. I just saw a few panels. I saw like a 10-minute trailer for Amazing Spider-Man, which really has me excited for that movie. It's looking great. They had Milla Jovovich there during a Resident Evil panel. So that's kind of cool. Milla Jovovich,
Yeah.
the star of the Resident Evil.
Yeah, I know. How old is
franchise.
she?
They're doing like a sixth one.
How old is she?
I think she's either in her early 30s by now.
Is she still hot in real life? Like it's
Yeah,
different
she's
when
still pretty hot. She was pretty casual and relaxed.
okay because I've
She
seen
was pretty
celebrities.
cool.
I've seen celebrities on TV, and then when you see them in real life, you're like, nah, I'm good. Thank you.
Nah, she looked just as good, man.
She's
They didn't
36.
Yeah, she's really, really good looking for her age. Like, I mean, she doesn't look like she's aged very much.
Yeah, they didn't have
I
much
liked-
video games except like Capcom
Like a
had.
vampire and shit.
Yeah.
I like the first Resident Evil.
It's kind of cheesy. I thought. Like, I
It's
know
cheesy.
what you're going for, but like, I wish it was more like the game, I guess, because when you're
Yeah.
watching it, it was like they're doing kung fu moves on zombies.
I like the elevator
Yeah,
bit. I
there
like
is
the
a-
laser room.
There was a scene they showed from the movie where for like 5 minutes she's just kung fuing zombies in a hallway.
Yeah, I don't
from
get
the
it.
new movie.
I don't get
That's
it.
all she does. Yeah. And for as far as video games go, they just had a Capcom booth and a Nintendo booth, and they were showing off the Resident Evil game that they just put out now, the Outbreak, which actually wasn't half bad from when I played. Nintendo just had a 3DS booth with Kid Icarus and this Spirit camera game where you have to capture ghosts and
That Kid
a
Icarus
diary.
game, doesn't that game look really jaggy? Like the graphics?
it looks a little bit. That's because it's on a tiny screen, but it actually looks. It still looks pretty good. It was fun to play. That comes out tomorrow or today.
I'm kind of excited to play that
when
because
the podcast comes out.
yeah, I'm kind of excited to play that because I kind of like Nintendo's like smaller titles. You know what I mean? Like I always like Kirby games and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
brought my 3DS for street passing and stuff, and now I'm over 400 street passes on my 3DS.
You're a freaking whore, man. All right, then. What's Knuckles been up to?
Yeah, besides eating chicken.
Those is chicken.
I just got home from a lecture from Brother Cornel West. Very intelligent man. I recommend you Google him.
Who?
And, Cornel West.
Okay.
He's a... Oh, okay, good. Yeah, just Google him. I've been playing some nice games like Outrun Online Arcade and Afterburner Climax and Ninja Gaiden Sigma, the good Ninja Gaiden game. And let's see. I guess that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Knuckles, you got to stop being sidetracked and stop messaging on Skype when we were doing a podcast.
I didn't message anything.
Somebody messaged you, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm hearing some water on
I'm calling them out. I don't.
one of the.
It's not me, man. Anyway,
It's not me
here,
Okay.
let me say what I've been up to. Nothing.
Nothing?
No, I mean, let's
How's
see.
it work?
It's all right, usual stuff.
Tell us the truth. How hard is it to work at where you work at?
It comes and goes. We have weeks where it's not difficult, and we have weeks where it's extremely tight deadlines on stuff.
So
But,
most of the time, just making logos for logos I force you to make.
What do you mean?
Like sometimes I'm just like in the last minute I'm like, all right, Barry, I got 37 minutes to make a logo. I need you to do it. And
I
then,
love that.
And then you're like, all right, and then you like fucking 5 minutes later come up with this like awesome logo.
That's what I do. I like working on things last minute really fast, except for when it's at work, because then there's other people like in IRL who are getting pissed off at me.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like that. I'd rather piss you off because you can't get me.
That's true. I'll just throw a fit for a little bit and then be all right. It's okay.
It's okay, Barry. Like when we had our little tips back in the day before I wrote for SEGA Bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to
make.
So should we go on with the show? Because it's gonna be a lot of years.
It's a big one. So
10 years.
10 years. Well, Well, first off, what year did y'all get into Sega games?
I had a friend who used to have a Master System back in like 1986, 87.
I got into the Sega when my cousin had a Sega Genesis, and my parents were mostly Nintendo people because when I was a little kid, like 2, my mom bought a Nintendo mostly for herself, but I mean she made an excuse that it was mine. But she bought that, and then so she obviously bought the Super Nintendo, which I actually enjoyed. I thought the Super Nintendo was really, really great system, but there's always something about the Sega system. Like the games are so different, you couldn't buy the same games on this. Like I like Donkey Kong Country, but like I also like Golden Axe. You know what I mean? I like playing Golden Axe with my cousin or playing Sonic 2.
I hear you.
So it was never the same. Or Streets of Rage. That game blew my mind. So. Cool. Yeah.
So like early 90s probably?
Yeah, early 90s I would say I came like, make my mind to what kind of style of game I liked.
Yeah, I'd say it was Christmas 91 for me because before that all my friends had NES. And then I think, after I thought back, I actually asked my dad and I asked him why he bought me a Genesis for Christmas. And I think it was because it was cheaper. And now when I see those ads where they're pushing how it's like $50 less than the Super NES at the time.
Yeah,
I think.
Those $50 make a lot of difference for parents.
Like that explains so much because my dad is always like he'll take forever to buy something, but when he does, he like gets the best deal on it. So yeah, that's 91. And then Knuckles, when did you get in?
I guess I'd pin it at August 1995.
Specific.
Sonic the Hedgehog number 28.
What, the comics?
That, I was I guess, hated Sonic the Hedgehog because there's this really annoying kid who loved to run around. And he said, "I'm Sonic the Hedgehog," and I'd say, "Sonic the Hedgehog sucks, man." I had no idea what I was
talking about. I'm a plumber.
I remember when when I was in middle school, we used to have a teacher that was pretty laid back, and he had like Atari games, so we could play Atari games.
Wow.
And,
how old are you?
So some kid thought for a project it would be smart to do like a Nintendo game, like world. So he brought a box with like little things on it, like Nintendo, like Mushroom Kingdom and stuff. But man, it looks so lame, dude. I just validated that I'm glad I'm not a Nintendo fan. I was like, it's so lame. Like, look, you have Birdo. Who wants to see that?
So it's definitely safe to say that we're all like of the console years.
Yes.
So.
Console. I would assume.
Are you kidding me? I used to play freaking Zaxxon and with the Congo Bongo in the arcades.
Nice.
Yeah.
I go way back.
Oh.
So I'm assuming then when it came to what was it, January 31st, 2001, when Sega America announced that they were going full on third party, that all of our hearts were broken.
I missed the
Pretty
announcement.
much.
Dude, I remember that announcement. I remember I was shopping at a supermarket with my mom, and every single time I went to this Asian supermarket she likes to go to, I used to always go to the magazine rack to look at magazines because I couldn't afford every magazine. So
Right.
I would go and look at the comic book magazines, and then I would look at the video game magazines. And I opened up I think it was an EGM, and the first page it was like a big announcement of that, them quitting. I was like, man, this sucks.
I remember my dad, I got home from school and he's like, hey, did you hear? And he read the business section of the paper and he's like, they're not making Sega anymore. And I was like, what the fuck? And I thought he meant they were going out of business. And that night we had, what was it, Tech TV. And I put on their stupid game show with those two ugly, what was it, Morgan Webb and Adam Sessler.
X-Play. It wasn't that bad.
X-Play. Oh, no,
Morgan
but
Webb wants freaking Mario game to be more adult. Come on, Jesus.
They were there. They were there on TV, and they were like, they talked about the whole press release, and I was like, ooh, is there going to be a Sonic Adventure 2? Because I thought one was coming out. And they were like, no, all the games are coming out, and they're still going to... I guess at the time, I thought that they were going to, still make Dreamcast games, but make the occasional game for other consoles. I didn't quite get it until I think Dreamcast Magazine stopped coming, because they just stopped publishing it, and I was like, all right, it's over. And then I think...
It was really abrupt the way it ended, too, because, they just seemed like they still thought they had a job in the last magazine.
They were like, yeah, we're going to find a new way to give you demos or something like that, and then they went out of business.
Yeah.
It sucked. But, yeah, and so...
Got Dreamcast Magazine.
No?
It's one of the nicest magazines ever published.
If you can buy it,
I love EGM, especially in the mid-'90s when you get a magazine that was the size of a freaking catalog.
We're talking about the Dreamcast official magazine.
Oh, that was good too. Yeah.
Yeah, it had really big pages. It was nice, and it had
all magazines were really good back then, I thought.
Yeah.
But,
I found out about it all on the Sega forums, July 2001. I missed it for 6 months.
You waited a while.
You waited for a while to react.
More than the rest of you.
Oh.
Well, then, and what we'll get into when we get in. We're going year by year, I should say. We're in 2001 right now. But continue.
Yeah, I was so sad because I loved the Dreamcast. It was probably one of my favorite, if not the favorite, of Sega's consoles. They just had such a good library those first 2 years, but because PS2 offered DVD, and DVD was the hot new thing at the time, it just couldn't take off.
The emotion ship.
No good.
Yeah.
Well,
it also didn't help that they have the Saturn and the 32X before that, which also failed.
Right. Well, at least we had games up until 2002, which we'll get to later, but it was weird in the meantime. We can talk about our first game, Choo Choo Rocket, on the Game Boy Advance. Did any of you guys play that back in 2001?
I didn't play it in 2001, but I played it way later.
Me too.
You got to imagine. It's weird. When people buy a PS3 or buy a Wii, there's some people that become fanboys, but I think that's kind of I guess you could say fanboy spirit. It wasn't really more on Dreamcast. I don't think for me it was more of a fanboy side. It was more of I just want this console to do well enough to not go out of business,
right?
Kind of a thing. So I supported. I would go buy a game whenever I could. Anytime I had money, I would go buy a game because I wanted the attach ratios to be high. I just wanted them to succeed. I didn't want them to dominate. It would be great if it sold 100 million units.
Yeah, I'll admit I didn't buy any non-Dreamcast games up until 2000. I think late 2002 when I finally caved and bought a PlayStation 2 during the summer.
I was all pissed off. I remember because Activision released a port of Tony Hawk 1, Tony Hawk 2, and then Tony Hawk 3.
Yeah.
Nothing. And it even had a PlayStation 1 version of it, and I was like, what? I was pissed.
I remember 2001 was mainly ports, and so I didn't really give a shit. They were saying that I don't know what year was Sonic Adventure DX. I know we're not talking about it tonight.
That was 2003.
Yeah,
2003,
actually,
wow.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was the first Sonic game on
Okay.
Nintendo.
Yeah, I just remember. 2001 was kind of. It was just. It didn't. There was nothing that really drew me to the other consoles because it was like Crazy Taxi port, Choo Choo Rocket, which I thought the Dreamcast had the superior version. Even though I played the Game Boy Advance one, it is actually really good. But and then moving on to the next game, Super Monkey Ball was the first new IP for consoles.
We call that the start of the reign of Nagoshi.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it started.
Is that?
That game I bought right away. It was an awesome game. I got to play it at E3 when I was there.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
Yeah, in fact, I had a little internet gal pal I took with me on that year.
What happened? Did you guys fuck?
No, she lived on the other side of the country. I've lost contact with her since.
The GameCube was kind of the natural next step for me after the Dreamcast died, because all my life I'd only known Sega and Nintendo. That was all that had ever been in my house. That was all that was ever going to be in my house. Until it turned out the GameCube was kind of not very interesting.
I remember
Road Leader.
they actually, I remember them laying out at one time, I don't know if it was official or not, but they said like this developer will make games for this console, this developer. So like Sonic Team was the GameCube and they would port to other consoles, and they said like AM2 would be PlayStation 2 and SmileBit would be Xbox. Do you guys remember them actually saying to people that that's how it would be? Because I remember reading that a long time ago.
Yeah, I did remember reading that. Like Xbox was going to be like their Dreamcast 2, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It was half true. It was half true, I'd say. A lot of Sega exclusives on Xbox.
No, well, the reason that actually, this is what I read. I'm not sure if it's 100% correct. But it's that Microsoft signed a 10-deal publishing thing with Sega for 10 games, and that's how kind of like they were afloat for a long time, like before they got bought out.
So, which console do you think of the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube had the best lineup of Sega games?
Xbox.
For me, it's tied between Xbox and GameCube.
What did the GameCube have except for Dreamcast ports?
It depends, actually.
Super Monkey Ball was the original. It was the first on GameCube, and so was a lot of the Sonic ports. And they had the best version of Sonic Heroes. Not that that was a very good game anyway.
I guess that was the problem, though, is that a lot of them were ported. So even if you were willing to get a slightly lesser version, if you had the Xbox and maybe even an Xbox PlayStation 2 combo, you pretty much had all the really good releases, I thought.
So the PlayStation 2 did have Shinobi and Virtua Fighter 4, and had one other thing, I thought. I can't recall.
Yakuza?
Oh, well, that was kind of late. I don't really count that as the early third-party games. But I guess, yeah. And I don't really care much for Yakuza anyway, but I suppose.
The PS2 had some underground titles like Blood Will Tell and like Shinobi.
Oh, yeah.
But like those didn't get marketed heavily enough, and they failed to sell, and they didn't get good, scores.
Shinobi was pretty hardcore on the PS2.
That's true.
So was Kunoichi.
Well, moving into 2002, the next two games are actually Dreamcast holdovers that, well, they did get released in in Europe. We don't have any Europeans on tonight. They were released on other consoles. So Xbox got Shenmue 2 a year after it released in Europe, and Headhunter got a release on the PS2, I think also a year after the European release. Did either of those games hold a lot of weight for you to decide if you were going to get an Xbox or a PlayStation 2?
Shenmue 2 made me get an Xbox.
Yeah.
I was already self-financial enough. I already had all the game systems by then.
Did you import?
I'm sorry, Jason, that we're not
I
as
did,
cool as
I did, in fact, import Shenmue from Europe and had a little disc that let me do that.
That was the happiest moment of my Dreamcast gaming life, because, like, I was playing, I imported Shenmue 2, I think it was $60 at the time, and plus about $20 shipping, and it was like so cool to be playing it a year before the Xbox release. But even then, I got the Xbox version because I wanted them to make a third one. So they got me.
They didn't do it.
They didn't. I know. People should go onto the Sega Facebook and ask for Shenmue 3.
Well, if the Shenmue HD rumors, are true, and they do end up putting that as download, if enough people buy it, who knows?
I'll buy it a third time.
Yeah, I'm buying it for everything.
Did any of you play Headhunter? Yeah.
What?
Barry, what do you think about Headhunter?
It's all right. I mean, I thought it was a little. I actually like it more on the Dreamcast just because it does take advantage of the hardware. It's a really cool looking game. But
I only played it on 2.
Yeah, I only played it on the PlayStation 2, and I actually did get the Dreamcast one last year at a used game store, but I only played it for about 10 minutes. And I like the Dreamcast one more just because it feels more right to be playing it on the original console. And it's a good game, but it's not worth buying a PlayStation 2 for back in 2002.
Oh, no. That.
I thought it was very average.
The music was great, and the motorcycle stuff was fun.
And the concepts were there, too. But...
Yeah. It's kind of like the Alpha Protocol of its day.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it together. Yeah.
Like, it had these great concepts, but it all didn't come together in the end.
And it also looks like the company that made it, the developer, made Alpha Protocol, might be going at... I mean, they're having financial troubles, I guess.
Oh, that sucks.
Did you hear about that?
I did not, no.
Okay, I'll just explain it real quick, because people are going to be questioning. They're supposed to have a bonus for their company, their employees from Bethesda, that published New Vegas, but they would only, in their contract, they had to get a Metacritic score higher of 85, and they didn't do it, so they didn't get the bonus. So even though it sold like 5 million plus copies, they're not going to get a bonus because the Metacritic score wasn't good enough, and I think that's bullshit.
Sucks.
That is the worst thing Metacritic has done to this industry. Now it's all about ratings and numbers. It's no longer about...
And you can't trust the critics' reviews on everything all the time. I mean, a lot of critics didn't like John Carter. Everyone I know who's seen John Carter absolutely loves it.
Yeah. I think a lot of kids are getting spoiled nowadays. They think it's 10 out of 10 or you don't buy it. And there are a lot of 7 out of 10 games that are well worth playing, or even 6 out of 10. Like Viking, I always talk about that. That didn't get good reviews, but it's a fun game. Or even moving outside of Sega, like some of the Star Wars titles, they don't get good reviews, but I have fun playing them. So
yeah, like the first Force Unleashed, I had some fun with.
I don't think sometimes I don't think it's the reviewers themselves. I think it's the point of view of the people reading the review. Like when some people read IGN reviews and they're like, "Oh, it was 7? Oh, that game sucks," even though it means good.
Yeah.
Well, most people don't read reviews.
Yeah, that's the truth.
The problem is 7 is above average, and they still, piss on it.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of places that where a 7 is average. Places like Game Informer, they like rate the number score. It's one of the reasons why I stopped reading Game Informer, that toxic waste of a magazine.
It's the #1 selling magazine, dude.
Well, that's because every time you want to get a goddamn GameStop card, they force that thing down your throat. You have to specifically say, "No, I don't want that magazine. It's shitty, and it's all these stupid jokes. It's not funny, and I don't like it."
Do you say that every time?
Stop killing trees.
I was actually gonna not get it, but then I've sometimes have gotten pretty good info out of it for Sega Bits, but I mean. I think for Sega Nerds, they leaked that Alex the Kid was going to be in it, and there was a good interview with one of the presidents of Sega that revealed a bunch of stuff last time. But now they usually send it to me late, so by the time it gets here, it's all online anyway.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to a good game, not talking about mediocre games. Sonic Advance for the Game Boy Advance was the from what I can think, the first original Sonic game after the Dreamcast. Again, did any of you
original Sonic
play it
game on the Nintendo?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm still was weirded out back in the day. It was so weird to see a Sonic on a Nintendo Power cover.
Weird.
Oh yeah.
That was a huge first.
I still got the
Sonic Advance and Sonic Adventure Battle 2 or whatever on the same year.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
they linked up.
I remember that before that, there was rumors that Sega was planning to bring Sonic to other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess something about the way Sonic Team is structured, they were like their own entity outside of Sega. So technically, Sonic Team could have brought in Sonic to other consoles, or that was a rumor.
They did that with the Neo Geo Pocket Color in '99, right?
Yeah, I think that's what they were saying, that they could have led, and I think that was like a little bit of. I think that didn't Sega after the Saturn wanted to go third party anyway.
I think so. Yeah.
There was like part of it that wanted to go third party. Do you think you would have appreciated it more if they went third party and then like came back another generation with full funds?
I don't know if they'd come back.
I mean, no. Would you like that better? Like if Sega said, "Okay, we're gonna be third party for like a generation," and they come back.
If it helped them, yeah. But if it meant a Dreamcast like coming out during this generation and failing, then no. It's hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they would have done. That would have really worked for them, because if you look at what happened to them after the Dreamcast, after they went third party after the Dreamcast, they got kind of raped. I mean, there's like they had aspirations of being the number one third party, and that never happened. That never came close to happening.
They were pretty close a while back when they were in their dark period, I guess. They were still selling games, but they were like, I think it was like they were 6th place. That's not that bad.
Get to the dark period.
Well, they've been in around that 6th.
Yeah, they weren't quite at the dark period yet. I mean, there's still a lot of inspiration held over from the Dreamcast. Probably some of these games were originally going to be on the Dreamcast that were then
Shinobi 2
over here.
Shinobi 2 was a Dreamcast game.
So was Virtua Fighter 4, Toe Jam and Earl, and Panzer Dragoon Orta.
Hey, we're not that far yet. Don't be ruined.
But speaking of some of those games, Shinobi on the PS2. How about that game? Did any of you guys play that in 2002?
Oh, not in 2002, but goddamn, that game was hard, man.
I rented it and it kicked my ass.
I did the exact same thing. I rented it, it kicked my ass, and I never played it again.
Yeah.
But you know what? I actually
That happened to me too.
I love that game, and it would have been so much better if they had checkpoints.
Yeah.
You know, that little thing. I know a lot of people say, you're not hardcore, checkpoints are for pussies, and you fuck no, man. I don't want to be pausing the game in the middle of action just so I could save it. Fuck that.
That's the problem I'm having with Yakuza Dead Souls right now, is I have to go like 10, 15 minutes before I can find a spot to save in.
That's true. Yakuza has that issue.
A lot of Japanese games have that kind of archaic design still.
Yeah.
But they're evolving slowly over time.
But the difference between like Yakuza is that like Yakuza is a little bit easier. It's not really that as challenging compared to like Shinobi, where you could spend like 30 minutes to get to the last boss and then you have to go somewhere. So you have to leave your PS3 on because usually if you got to the boss, you would start off at the boss if you turned it back on, but it was a pretty hard game.
So Shinobi, I mean, we don't talk about the sequel, but had you played the sequel? What was it, Nightshade?
Yeah, I played the sequel for a little bit, and I didn't really like it. It wasn't. I mean, they had improved stuff, but it wasn't what I liked the first. Like I liked the first one. I liked the art style. It was weird.
I think the art style was the best thing about the game, and I mean, it kind of carries over. I mean, Shinobi 3DS is kind of Shinobi 3 in terms of Shinobi and Nightshade and this new one.
That scarf.
The red scarf was really awesome. I think that's the best thing that they added.
It kind of reminded me of Strider, though.
Yeah.
But I think
that's
the red.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, how about the big thing in 2002 was that we actually were getting some exciting new games aside from Sonic. We had Virtua Fighter 4 on the PS2 and Jet Set Radio Future on the Xbox. Again, these were two games that I think would have sold a console if you were a Sega fan and you didn't have one yet. Did either of you play these games in that year, or did they make you want to own the console?
Man,
I didn't have much interest in Jet Set at the time. I was still kind of in my sea legs when it came to Sega.
Yeah, I got Jet Set Radio Future day one. I was really excited for that one because I love that series.
yeah.
Virtua Fighter 4 I didn't get to like later because I'm not a huge Virtua Fighter fan. I like them, but I'm not huge on them.
How about you, George?
Virtua Fighter 4 was
This
first
is
game I picked up when I got a PS2.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but that was like in 2004, so not exactly day one.
I was really into fighting games at the time, especially after the Dreamcast, because Dreamcast, let's be honest, was like a fighting game system.
Oh, absolutely.
So I was really into fighting games. So I was really excited about Virtua Fighter 4. So yeah, I was taunting my freaking friends who were all like they're all into Tekken about, man, you guys have no excuse now. You guys have to buy Virtua Fighter 4. You just can't be playing the same crap.
That game kicked ass too. I mean, especially I didn't buy Virtua Fighter 4, but I did buy Virtua Fighter 4, the
extended
the
one.
Second, yeah, the extended one, and that game was awesome. I think that definitely brought me back into the franchise. Virtua Fighter 3 TV I didn't like that too much. It didn't feel as, I don't know. There's something about it that just kind of
It doesn't feel right.
And it felt dated too. But Virtua Fighter 4 really felt like a current gen Virtua Fighter. But Jet Set Radio Future was the one that sold me on the Xbox. And I actually rented an Xbox and the game on release week, and I played it for the weekend. And then there was a snowstorm, and the video store said I could keep it for 2 more days. So I played about 40 hours, maybe 30 hours of Jet Set Radio Future in a 4-day weekend. And what sucked is that I had to return the console with my save file. So when I bought a Xbox later that year, I had to start all over again, but it was well worth it. I love that game. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The Xbox is such a freaking weird and cool console. Like,
oh god,
have you seen all the stuff people have done with that thing?
Yeah.
Like you can make it into like a media player. They could play it like basically be a computer. You
Yeah, I
play
had a friend
anything.
who had all these games on it, and they would boot up like discs, and I thought that was so weird. I was like, how are you doing that? What's inside? And he's like, it's a hard drive, like a computer.
Like a computer. It was basically a computer, dude.
Yeah.
As I recall,
I mean,
they basically took a PC Parks from off the shelves and stuck it in the Xbox.
Man, it's something about the Xbox. I don't know, man. I wanted to hate that thing, but man, Sega treated it too well in the early.
Oh yeah.
And it had a Windows, it had that Windows connection with the Dreamcast, so.
We should move on to the next game because I'm excited to talk about the next one.
All right, 2003. Speaking of the Xbox, we have Panzer Dragoon Orta, which is a favorite of all of ours. So who wants to jump on and talk about that first?
Dude,
go.
I want to. Dude, Knuckles, I want to start it. Watch me. I'm gonna do this right.
Say the same words at the same time.
Well, I was kind of like when I first heard about Panzer Dragoon Orta coming out and it's being done by Smilebit. So was it the Smilebit, right?
Yeah.
And I was kind of cynical. I was like, I don't think it's gonna be that good.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not gonna be a sequel to like Saga, and that's what I was actually looking forward to. But then again, I was looking at all these other games that Xbox had coming out, like when the launch first happened, I wasn't excited about Halo. I didn't even know what Halo was. Everybody was excited about it. I didn't get the hype.
Yeah.
I thought it looked ugly at first, and then I was like, So I was more excited for like the Japanese games they were getting. Like this one's one of them. I guess I got excited for after I saw after I read a review on the official Xbox magazine, which I subscribed to because I guess Sega was having a lot of games, and I wanted to have the info fast.
Yeah, and we've talked about that magazine before. It had a lot of the staff from the official Dreamcast magazine.
Yes, that's actually another reason I got it. I was going to mention.
And the design was great. The staff was great. And I actually, sometimes I think I should send an email to the editor because I'm sure she doesn't get a lot of fan mail, and I'd want her to reply because she was awesome too.
Yeah. And so I subscribed to it, and I read their Panzer Dragoon Orta review. Man, I had the biggest Sega smile on my face I've ever had. Like
that was a great article. That was a great issue.
And it was in this. Oh man, the pictures and man, I was excited, man. I was like, I was depressed when Dreamcast died, and yes, we had a few games that they were good.
Yeah.
But when I heard, Panzer Dragoon coming back, like and it's great. That's insane.
I definitely say that was like the first game that really got people excited in the third-party publishing era. Because a lot of the games, like Virtua Fighter 4, we knew the series, and it didn't really do a huge upstep from the previous ones. But like once you got into Orta, that was like really showing Sega doing a next-gen title.
And even though Jet Set Radio Future, I thought it had parts that were better than the original, but the original did little parts better too. So it didn't feel like this one felt like everything from the first two titles brought to current games and doing graphics like amazingly well. Like I still think Panzer Dragoon Orta is the best looking Xbox game.
And it's actually to talk about that, it's featured at the Art of Video Games at the Smithsonian, which actually opened last weekend, and it's running till September, and then it starts going on a national tour. So
there you go, guys. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's I think it's one of the 3 Xbox games featured, and I actually bought the exhibition book on Amazon. It's only $25, and they have a 2-page spread talking about the art of the game and how awesome it is. So
that's good.
They've actually got the one of the Saturn Panzer Dragoons on display too. So
that's right. 3 of the Panzer Dragoons got featured. The second one and Saga and Orta, which actually ties it with Zelda, I think. So.
Knuckles, you could tell us about your adventures with Orta.
But Panzer Dragoon Orta, that was that really was kind of the game I bought the Xbox for. Even before I really even before I really knew what. Okay, I'm going.
He's so excited.
It is, Panzer Dragoon is one really just basically my favorite game. And it really is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of what Sega has accomplished as a third party, which this isn't meant to be a slight to all their other efforts. It's just like really one of their best games. It is the pinnacle of rail shooting gameplay. It destroys everything else in the genre. It is the perfect example of what Sega third party is. Again,
good games that don't sell well.
Well, yes, an exclusive, beautiful game with really unique, fun gameplay that really takes advantage of a game console like no other game does. And Panzer Dragoon Orta came out in a time when the console didn't have any Japanese games, and people were saying, well, without any Japanese games, the Xbox can't do very well. It's not going to get the PlayStation 2 fan base. It can't compete. And Orta is really one of those games that say, fuck that. I'm a Japanese title on an American console. I have beautiful, beautiful, dainty little dragons, and I will kick your fucking ass and rip your throat out.
There's also one thing I want to add, actually. A lot of the Sega producers and stuff at the time were actually very anti-PlayStation 2.
Yeah,
that's so strange.
That is something I got from all their interviews and stuff, was that they did not like the PS2.
They asked them like when they were doing the Jet Set Radio, they said if it was possible on the PS2, because there's always that time where they try to do little fanboy articles.
Yeah.
The guys from Jet Set Radio said that they doesn't have enough, something about RAM or something about the Dreamcast and the way it processes.
I remember that.
That it would be impossible on the PS2. So I could also tell that they had a limit on the Dreamcast, because when you play the Xbox version Future, the areas are way bigger. Everything ran smoother. It looked nicer, and you could tell they were limited with the Dreamcast. Is whatever they were limited on the PS2.
Oh, totally. I mean, usually that stuff's bullshit, but when they said it about Panzer Dragoon Orta and Jet Set Radio Future, I totally bought it. I couldn't see those working on a PlayStation 2.
Oh God, no! The PS2 doesn't have anything close to Orta.
Xbox is still a pretty powerful system for this day and age.
I recently played Orta on my 1080p flat screen television, and it still looked gorgeous as all hell. I mean,
I think it also had
these all still look really great.
Yeah.
And
so you guys, wait up. Well, what topic are we on now? Are we still talking about Orta? Jason.
We could.
Yeah, sure.
We're still loving Orta, yeah.
Jason didn't get turn.
Is,
That's what I was waiting for.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I loved Orta. I want to talk about the next game.
Okay.
Well, no, I wanted. Well, Barry, you want to talk about Orta, or you want me to? I want to mention one more thing about Orta before we take.
Well, all I was going to say about Orta was that it was fun. I liked that it had the first Panzer Dragoon as an extra.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a fun little bonus. And the sad thing was, again, I unlocked it on my original Xbox, but I don't have my original Xbox hooked up to our big TV, so I have to start all over on my file. So that sucks, but it's worth it. I get to replay the game. So music's awesome too.
Oh yeah, I knew Orta Venua is great.
Remember, I still have the three music rips that I downloaded back in 2003 in my iTunes library. Good stuff.
I was
What were you going to say, George?
I was going to say they released an Xbox Panzer Dragoon.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
That's
a limited edition 999 Xbox number made.
I've never seen it ever. I've never seen anybody that owned it.
I do know. I remember Sega fans saying, like, if there is a next Sega console, that's the one you buy because it's a Sega branded console, even though it's Microsoft made.
The only this generation, the only Sega console, I guess that I mean that's close to a Sega console, who I guess would be the Yakuza PS3 releases, but then again, they weren't as nice looking as
and there was that Mario and Sonic Blue Wii, but it's just a blue Wii.
Yeah, it doesn't have a symbol. Like, I wish Sega would like manufacture like very limited edition consoles with like an official logo and it looks like a Sega console. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, you know what we can all do is we can all build our own Sega consoles. You want to get a PC, stick a bunch of high quality parts in there. And then just put a bunch of Sega games onto the hard drive, and bang, got your Sega console.
Works for me.
That's a little project I've wanted to do for a while.
What, make a new Sega console and then tell them to make games for you?
Only for you?
Here's the specs. Get on it.
When I come back, I want at least 10 games.
So Shigs wanted to talk about our next game, Astro Boy Omega Factor for the Game Boy Advance, a licensed game that is too good. It's too good for a licensed game, I guess.
Oh yeah,
What'd you have to say about it?
I mean, that was a treasure-developed Sega, game. What was I going to say? Not the next gen, but the console versions were done by Sonic Team, and they weren't even comparable.
It was actually
Sonic
Team's first PlayStation 2 game. I played through most of it. I didn't think it was that bad. It's just the levels were kind of mediocre, but the bosses were fun.
Was that the first bad Sonic Team game you played?
No. Well, okay. I guess.
I know.
First bad.
I know a certain Chicken Boy didn't make this list because I didn't want to talk about him.
I was going to say it depends on your feelings on Billy Hatcher.
Right.
But yeah, Astro Boy, I mean, it was a treasure game, so I had to have it. But it was not only that, it was an awesome action title.
Are you serious, dude? I just noticed the list. You didn't even put Virtua Quest. I want to fucking bash on that game. What the hell?
Oh, we can talk about it if you want.
Oh, yeah. What year did that come out? I don't even know.
I'll look it up while we're talking.
I have fond memories of that title.
With that.
Another thing with that Astro Boy wasn't just that it was a game for Astro Boy. It was also a love letter to Osamu Tezuka, the creator, because during the game you'd constantly meet up with every single one of his creations from his other comic titles.
Oh, that's cool.
Manga titles, which is pretty awesome.
Sega actually was on a roll, like doing his franchises. Blood Will Tell was another one, I think, of his, based on one of his mangas.
2004 in Japan, so we could technically talk about it now.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys have anything more to say on Astro Boy Mega Factor except that?
I never played it. I've been meaning to, but I guess haven't gotten to it.
If you have a regular DS, I seriously recommend picking it up and finding it like used or on eBay.
It looked like it was a lot of fun. I wasn't really. I didn't really know what Treasure was back in 2003.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious. I didn't know about them until I played Gunstar Heroes on the Genesis in 2007.
No, I knew about Treasure as soon as I played Gunstar Heroes because they were the main developer on that.
I guess now we could talk about Virtua Quest, my favorite Sega game of all time.
Oh yeah, that moves us into 2004. That's a great game, right, George? Want to talk about it?
Dude, this is the first Sega game where like I got slapped in the face for supporting. I don't even know why I was excited for this game.
Well, you play Sora, right? And you're like in Kingdom Hearts, and you're looking for the Virtua Fighter guys.
Well, at the time, it was being hyped as a Virtua Fighter RPG.
Yeah, it's because
it was Shenmue.
Yeah, they were saying it's like Shenmue because like it's an RPG, action RPG where you meet the Virtua Fighter characters. It was what Yu Suzuki ever wanted, all right? So I'm like, oh, I have to support this. Yu Suzuki's never let me down. He's a beautiful fucking man. So I'm all telling my friend, dude, that game's gonna be good. So one day I'm at his house and they're reviewing it on XPlay, which I already knew was a mistake to watch to begin with.
Right.
And so we're all sitting there listening to. I'm watching the review and they're complaining 30 like. They do 10 like 5 minutes of the review on how bad the shoe sounds when you're walking on it.
Right.
A little sound effect. And they gave it like a really low score, so I still didn't believe it. I was like, "Dog, this game's gonna be awesome." So I bought it. Man, that game sucked. I was so disappointed, man. It had all like the game feels kind of Sega-ish. Like I like the like. Yes, I know. There's that. It has like kind of like a geeky like little kid anime design, but like when you live in your there's this part when you start off in your like virtual room or whatever. Like it reminds me of Phantasy Star Online because it's all future.
They actually had a Hunters Guild in it.
Yeah, it's exactly. And then
it's called the Hunters Guild too, I think.
Yeah. And then like I like that, and then it also reminded me of like when you go and fight, you meet Virtua Fighter characters. That was pretty cool, but it's just too shitty. That's it.
So it's not worth it. Not worth touching.
No, it's not worth touching at all.
Oh man.
We have to add little shitty games in here. I mean, we can't just put all the positive stuff. Then all the kids would be all like, "Oh man, Sega just rocks."
Well, once we get into 2005, 2006, it's going to be shit after shit. So
you can't avoid the shit.
But before we get into the shit,
the years.
2004 saw the first new main series Sonic title for all platforms, Sonic Heroes.
Talking about shit.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys? I'll start on it because I remember after the Dreamcast died and went away. I bought the occasional game, but I mean, I only really bought Orta and Jet Set Radio Future and a few PlayStation 2 titles and then went to college. And it wasn't until 2004 that Sonic Heroes was really the first like Sega game that I bought in a while. And it was also the first Sonic game I bought since 2001. And I was like all pumped to get it. I was a little iffy because it was weird to play an Xbox Sonic game. But, yeah, well, I'll let you guys talk about the game, but that's how I got it, at least.
I want Jason to start this off, because he always has a stupid view on everything, and I don't like it.
Do you love it?
No, I do not love it. The fact is, I got to play it at E3 at the time, and they were smart to demo the first level and the train level where you grinded on the rails a lot. And at the time, it was pretty awesome. Everything seemed like it was working out good. I always say the main gameplay of Sonic Heroes is okay as far as switching everybody around. It's the horrible level design of some of the later levels, the horrible story, and the absolutely atrocious voice acting that really ruins that game.
The graphics also, they look like plastic toys.
They look very plasticky.
That was the redesign of Sonic for the new generation.
God help you if you were stuck with the PlayStation 2 version, ran like 30 frames a second.
That's kind of what confirmed to all of us that Sonic Team hates the PlayStation 2.
Surprisingly, the GameCube one was the superior, probably the one they worked on. I mean, the one they worked on then ported to the other system.
I think what happened is that they were working on it, and they were probably working on it as an exclusive to GameCube, and and Sega was probably like, "Oh shit, the GameCube did not dominate everything. What the fuck are we gonna do now?" And then they're like, well, I guess we could just release on everything.
Yeah.
They didn't have much faith in it when they released it in January instead of Christmas time.
And yet it still managed to sell very well. It probably stands as the best-selling Sonic title since Sonic 2. Of course, unlike Sonic 2, it was able to sell on three platforms instead of one.
I think because this is when Sega was slowly taking that Sonic diarrhea dump on their fan base.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you guys say anything?
I'm sorry. This is where the inspiration started to die. You could tell Sega just wasn't in it the way they used to be. A lot of the creativity was starting to die off.
2003, I remember, was called the Year of Sonic. Yuji Naka coined that title. The Year of Sonic was 2003 when they basically promised that we're going to milk this franchise for all it's worth.
Right.
And Sonic Heroes was kind of the end result of all that, which I thought I had a lot of fun with Sonic Heroes back in the day. It was a really fast game when it wanted to be fast.
Uh-huh.
I noticed something of a pattern with it where it would usually be one fast level, then one slow level, then one fast level, then one slow level. So it was kind of like a 50-50 kind of game. But the problem is the slow levels were really, really bad much of the time.
Well, what was your favorite thing about the game, if you could say a positive?
Well, it's fast. I thought the graphics were gorgeous, and I really liked the rainforest level where you got to make
Frog
that
Forest.
was pretty good.
Where the frogs made it rain and stuff. I also really liked the second to last stage, Egg Fleet. The last stage was a bit of a bitch. This is when the Sonic games start getting really ridiculously and cheaply hard. But yeah, Sonic Heroes had some fun moments. It's kind of one of those Sonic games that's really divisive. It's really probably the first truly divisive Sonic game that was released.
Uh-huh.
I think also the reason why Sonic Heroes wasn't as good as it could have been was also because there was a lot of changes going on in Sonic Team that time. The merger was happening. United Game Artists got pitted with their Sonic Team after 2004.
Uh-huh.
Their leader left, but I guess I'm gonna put another game in here because I have to talk about this game.
Well, here, let me just say something about Sonic Heroes.
All right, go on.
Yeah, I'll say the good things I liked. I liked the soundtrack a lot. I liked the look, like the visual design of the stages. I thought it was the closest they came to the Genesis games until Generations. And let's see, I liked the stage progression, the fact that it was like the original Genesis games, and I wish they actually tried that again. But I didn't like the stage length, the fact that the characters talked all the time, and the fact that it played. I didn't mind switching characters, but I hated the fact that it didn't feel like Sonic Adventure when you were just running around. Like, it felt like they built a new engine for no reason, and I'm sure there's a technical reason why. But overall, I'd give it like a 60 out of 100 right now. But back then, I'd maybe give it like a B-. I liked it, but I didn't love it.
All right, I agree, I guess. I mean, at the time, it wasn't as bad, but then after I played it now, it's like, yeah, this wasn't that great. I was more forgiving.
We'll get to some shitty Sonic games later, but what game did you want to
Bingo Highway.
I wanted to talk about the launch title for the DS, Sonic Teams. Feel the Magic.
2004?
XYXX.
Yeah. Rub Rabbit.
Yeah, Project Rub. Man, that game is so weird. It's like everything. I guess that reminded me a lot of like a little title Sega would release on like the Dreamcast, because it was just so weird. It reminded me kind of like that Seaman. Sorry.
Seaman.
Yes. That kind of vibe where it's so weird. And you don't know if they're trying to be perverted or they're just like, you're the one being the pervert. It's kind of it. I feel the Magic had that kind of vibe, like they were going for like a sexy game, but it's not. I guess not really. Like
not sex. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like it's a good game. I mean, the little mini games. This is like a pretty good mini game collection.
I actually really love that game. I thought it was really well done.
I did too. I thought it was, and I saw like the art style on it. I really liked the art. That's what got me intrigued. But
cool. Yeah,
some
there's
of the
actually
games were kind of crap. But go on.
No, you go ahead. I never played it.
Oh, there's like mini games where like you had to blow stuff, or like I think this is the second game, but there's one where you have to like use a stylus and like trace. You're like on a bike, and you wherever you trace over, that's where you go, and you have to go on these little paths, and then you have to try to solve the maze, and it's like also you could die if you like screw up.
For real?
It's also one of those close to launch games that wanted to emphasize all the different.
Yeah, this one has like stuff where you blow on the microphone and stuff, like stuff that the DS didn't ever. I mean, other games didn't do. Like Sonic Team went in there and they decided to like use every little aspect of the DS, like the uniqueness. And it's obvious in the design. The designer is obvious. One of the designers is obviously Yuji Naka, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you see
one of the mini games I remember from that was a sailboat mini game where you had to blow into the DS. You had to blow so hard and so loudly that it's just not something you could do in public, and it would leave you lightheaded after a while. And there's another game where you had to yell into the microphone. It was not really the most portable of games because it kind of forced you to be so disruptive when you were around other people.
It did, but
around strangers and stuff.
Yeah, it did, but it also had a lot of games that didn't use any of that. Like, I remember my mom was really into like a bowling mini game on there where you have to like bowl and hit. I think you have to hit certain things, but there's like buses passing by and cars. So you have to try to bowl through traffic. She was really into that game. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. It had
Cool.
It had a lot of unlockables. It was a cool little mini game. I mean, it's not going to be like a super classic, but if you have like,
it's not classic, but it's one of those kind of quintessential Sega games.
Yeah, little unique, quirky games.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like that game. And if you have a DS, anybody, go on GameStop, get your $5 and buy it.
If you can find it.
Yeah. Well, then moving on to a sequel to a classic. Outrun 2 for the Xbox. Again, had any of you played it at the time? I know I didn't, and I intended to get around to it, and then the Xbox 360 version came out, where it's not the same game, but, But did any of you play it?
Yes, Outrun 2?
Yeah, Outrun 2.
Yeah, man, I love that game. That's like, I think I was so excited when that game came out. Like, I was expecting that game to be like the Sega game that places them back on the map, sort of like Outrun kind of placed them in the arcade industry. I was disappointed when I read the reviews, but man, I love that game. I mean, it's so cool. Like, it reminded me so much of Outrun 1, but like it's like probably the best arcade racing game I played last generation. So yeah,
nice.
I really like that game. The music, the graphics.
We recently featured a tune from that on Tuesday Tunes. It's really probably one of my favorite Sega arcade games. Has that whole blue skies atmosphere to it, and that nice Sega kind of energetic kind of happiness. It's a really happy blue game.
But it also has the
fast and beautiful and gorgeous.
But it also has that cool factor where like you're driving with a girl in a Ferrari down like, you know what I mean? Exotic paths.
It's especially cool when you start driving between cars and she starts getting all impressed and hearts start coming up and goes, "Oh my!" and you're swerving through traffic. And the best thing about it is that it wasn't really a racing game. It was just a driving game. So it despite the fact that it's a sequel, it's still pretty unique in this day and age.
I think the game was too bare-boned for video game reviewers. I think this is another thing that Sega at this time, even though they made good games, they would still get low reviews because
I thought it got well reviewed.
It got all right reviewed, but like it wasn't like a 9 out of 10 game.
Wow.
Most of the critics didn't like the fact that you couldn't fine-tune your car or whatever.
Oh, it's not a sim.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I hate sims.
So that's what I said. It's like,
oh yeah, average in the 77s, man.
That game deserved a little bit better than that. I mean, 77 is still a good score, but it isn't what it should have gotten.
Was it a full price, like $50, $60 game at the time?
I don't know.
They weren't $60 back then.
They weren't 60. Sure. I think it was 50. I think it might have came out at 40, but I'm pretty sure it came out 50. I'm almost 100% sure.
Do you think that's too much, or is that worth it?
Well, you had to consider at the time when this game came out, there wasn't a downloadable service for that type of game. So I would say they should have priced it at $30.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it was just an arcade port.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think one of the versions got multiplayer. But
I think that was I think you're thinking of the Xbox Live version.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about the Xbox Live version.
That's the one I played. I didn't play it on the original Xbox.
Oh no, I'm thinking about the PSP one. I think they did a PSP port of it, coast to coast. I think it was. Yeah, but yeah, it's a good game. You never played it, Barry?
I can't recall playing it. I mean, it was an arcade game though, right?
It came out on consoles.
Okay, I mean, I think I played it in the arcade if it came to America, but I don't recall playing it on consoles. No.
It was on Xbox Live not that long ago, and it was on sale. You should have gotten it. Man.
Oh, Xbox. Well, yeah, I've played it. I played the recent Outrun Online arcade. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's the same game. It's just the port.
But I'm going to say that once we get into this 2004, 2005, 2006 era, when I was in college, I was not playing any new games. I was playing all old stuff just because I was poor, you know. So a lot of these games that we're going to talk about, I didn't play until about 2007 when I started buying them used. But
tell us about your poor years. What do you used to do for money?
Well, no, I mean, I did work. I worked for my school, but I definitely didn't make enough to like go out and buy a $60 game.
Were you one of those girls that used to go to strip clubs and say, "Oh, I'm just going to put myself through college"?
Yeah, that was me. No,
I knew it.
No, I mean, I did a lot of used buying then. I bought a lot of used like games and DVDs, and I was buying.
How do you feel that you destroyed SEGA?
Well, hey, I mean, the games we're going to be talking about in the next, for 05, 06, I definitely am glad I didn't spend a penny on them at the time, because they didn't deserve any of that money.
Outrun 2 was kind of really the last really good SEGA game for a while. Even in 2004, it was kind of just a really quality title and a bastion of mediocrity. And a sea of mediocrity at the time.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of last games, coming up to our next one, Puyo Pop Fever was the last Sega-developed Dreamcast title in Japan, and it also received releases in Europe and America, but not on the Dreamcast. It was on, I think, the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube.
I think only the GameCube version got an initial Western release. I think that version's even kind of rare.
I think they did a DS port, didn't they?
Eventually, yeah, but that wasn't in 2004.
I saw Puyo Pop Fever last week at GameStop used for I think $10, but I already have the Dreamcast one, so I didn't buy it.
You should have bought it. Just fuck them. That's why.
The Dreamcast one had that OS update.
Mm-hmm. That was a really nice surprise when I found that out. It changed the entire, if anyone doesn't know it, when you had a Puyo Pop Fever file on your VMU, it changed the startup OS on the Dreamcast to like a new super like 3D, and you could move it around. It was like a 2.0 kind of thing. It was pretty cool.
One last hurrah for Sega.
Yeah, basically. I mean, did any of you guys play that at the time? I didn't play it until about a year ago. So
yeah, I played it on the DS, so...
It was good. I mean, it wasn't groundbreaking, but it was a fun Puyo game.
I'm still surprised that they haven't brought the game to like iOS and Android, since we love bringing they brought Choo Choo Rocket, which was weird, out of nowhere. But I assume that Puyo Pop Fever or whatever would be back, because I think Sega Japan released one on Android, one of the games, and I just assumed Sega would too. I mean, America, but so far. That's a Japan-only franchise, apparently. This is the only time it came west, I think, too.
Yeah, it's a shame, because, I mean, you'd think a puzzle game is the easiest thing to port over, and especially if they maybe make it like a XBLA or PSN title. Like, I know Bust-A-Move's been doing that recently, where you can get the new games, but they're on downloadable services. I think Sega really dropped the ball when it comes to that, because Puyo Pop is an awesome franchise, and they have a lot of great... DS games that could totally be translated. And I don't even know if maybe they do have English versions on the Japanese, because a lot of the times they do. So
all Sonic Team games have both English and Japanese. They're always bilingual. Even the Dreamcast version of Puyo Fever.
That's then Sega should really be bringing it over here. But let's move on to 2005. I know Knuckles wants to talk about this awesome game.
Yes, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Everyone knows Shadow the Hedgehog.
This was the first Sonic Team game I ever hated. And it came as such a surprise to me at the time. How could a game about a cartoon hedgehog who guns down evil aliens in grungy, dark sci-fi environments be bad? How could this possibly be a disaster? Well, apparently Sonic Team doesn't know how to make a goddamn shooter because it was so goddamn awful. I mean, there is very little redeemable about this game. I as I played it, I was like disillusioned. I refused to believe it was as bad as it was. The shooting controls were stiff, and the level design was difficult to get around, and the levels were slow. It was just a really slow game much of the time.
Yeah.
And the shooting and the running just didn't work very well. Then there were all these enemy rooms, right, to destroy all these aliens with massive life bars. And it just stopped what was already a slow game in its tracks. I mean, I don't know what Sonic Team was trying to do with this.
You want me to tell you what they were trying to do? They were trying to make
it an unmitigated disaster is what they're trying to do.
They were trying to sell the Sonic franchise to the new gen crowd. Like, I mean, at the time. They're trying to do a Jack and Dexter game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know what, this is gonna be like Ratchet and Clank, which is a fun game. You know, the shooting and everything works easy, works well with the platforming. I thought, yeah, Ratchet and Clank. That's what this
Shadow.
This was when I really began to become concerned for the Sonic franchise, and when I really began to kind of join others in my hatred of Shadow the Hedgehog, and I began to see, that camera is kind of shitty. And the worst thing about, well, you know what, I should say this next part of my rant for Sonic 06. But yeah, very bad, very disappointing game.
God, I remember buying that one back in 2005, and I returned it or traded it in used a month later. I've never done that with the Sonic game before. I traded in as fast as I could. I didn't even get to any of the good levels really, as hard as I tried, because that's another thing that was a problem with it. Not just how bad the shooting and the driving was, the fact that in order to get to go to the good path or the bad path, you either had to defeat every single hero or defeat every single enemy, and a lot of times you couldn't find where the hell they were.
It also had that same
scene in a butt.
And then there was the fact that all the enemies attacked you. There was no AI in this game.
No, and that's what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
It had the same problem with heroes where characters wouldn't shut the fuck up. They were like, "Hey Shadow, why don't you help me out?" And then it's like, "Shadow, you should help me." And then it was like, "Shadow, this is Dr. Robotnik. You should help." And it was just like, dude, I'm helping Sonic right now. Back off. And then the other characters would fight me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to fight everyone because everyone wants to kill me.
Yeah.
Even when it's obvious that you're killing all the aliens and you're helping out the the soldiers, they're still shooting at you. It's insane. And in fact, I honestly think this is a worse as far as boring game, even though it's probably maybe even poor designed game than Sonic 06. I actually liked Sonic 06 a little better than Shadow the Hedgehog.
Well, I was lucky never to play the game on release. In fact, I bought Shadow in 2008 on eBay used. The guy sent it to me, and the box was so beat up, I complained, and he said, "Oh, just keep it. I'll refund your money." So I got it for free, and I still feel ripped off. And same goes for Sonic 06. I got that for free in a buy two, get one free sale, and I still felt
I wish I could say I got it for free.
I pre-ordered it for a free beanie at EB Games.
Fuck yeah, I was about to talk about that right now,
and I still had to go through the indignity of buying the game at the store in public.
George is wearing his beanie right now. What was that beanie like?
I remember that this is around the time I actually got, like, after the Dreamcast death, I kind of got out of like video gaming. Like, I would play, but I wasn't like embedded into a community.
Yeah, it was the same.
This 2005 is when I actually started joining the Sega boards. And I remember we were talking about the beanie, out of all things. And I pre-ordered it because I was like, dude, Sonic the Hedgehog was alright in Sonic Adventure 2. I'm getting it because everybody convinced me. This is when everybody wanted a Shadow game. I mean, this is before the disaster happened.
Yeah.
And then when I saw an early review, I was like, oh hell no. After Sonic Heroes, no way. And I went and got my money, and I took my pre-order off.
Well, before we move on to the next game, I think we should all say one positive about Shadow, if we can even call one, from the game.
About the game. Oh, the
I love his fucking chest hair. It's all just like a little furry.
Yeah.
There was one particular level design thing I wish they kind of kept over, because most Sonic games are always going forward, moving forward. In this one, there was parts where you could actually just turn around and go back. And it made the levels a lot more open. But other than that, that's the only good thing I could say about the game.
How about you, Knuckles?
It was
One really nice, happy thing.
The music was nice.
We're gonna have to think. Okay, you got to think about it this way. This is around the time the Sonic team was being worked like a horse. They did Sonic Heroes. They did the port for Pyro Pop Fever. They did probably another game that year we probably didn't talk about. And then they did Shadow the Hedgehog. Then they had to do, I guess, consulting on Sonic Rush.
Mm-hmm.
So and then they had a new generation game the year after that. So
I'll say the one positive I can get from it is that I liked that it revisited levels from Sonic Adventure 2. It brought a little continuity into the series, which was kind of fun. Like there was Prison Island, and I remember, what was it?
I did like the continuity.
Wasn't it felt like a Sonic Adventure 2.5, which was pretty fun, at least in terms of like the levels, but the game was shit. So that's all I got to say about that.
Could I make a minor correction to something I said earlier?
Yeah, go ahead.
Outrun 2 averaged 82%.
Oh.
Not 77. That was Outrun 2 coast to coast.
Not high enough for George Perez, dude. I like mine. I like my outruns to be 10s out of 10s.
That's nice.
Well, Play Magazine gave it a 9.
Killed. What happened?
Of course, I think Play.tm gave it a 9.1.
Up them. They also gave Shadow the Hedgehog like a pretty high score, man.
No, you're thinking they gave Sonic the Hedgehog 06 a pretty high score, but we're going to get to that soon.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Sonic Rush on the DS. I played it at a friend's house, but I never played it in 05. Did any of you guys play it?
I loved it. I got it the moment it came out.
Yep, me too.
It was my comfort.
Tim's finest hour. That was their best Sonic game.
What was so great about it?
No, let me tell you what's so bad about it. First.
What's so bad about it, George? Let's get some negatives.
These guys don't understand fucking video game design. Okay, some of the levels were pretty alright, but I mean compared to like the Advanced series, I think some of them were lacking in design. They had the worst like last level where they made you like, okay, the game's talking to you, I mean telling you to go fast. It's called Sonic Rush. And then the last stage, for no reason, it's like you'll die if you go fast. It's just like bad design, I think. I think that's another issue with Sonic games. Like they expect you to go slow in sections and they expect you to go fast, but they don't really give you you know what I mean? Like you don't really know when to stop and when not to stop. It's kind of, I don't know. That's what it seems like to me in this game. Like they couldn't get their mind straight. Like, of course they needed platforming parts, so they made them, but it felt like a lot of people just wanted to go really fast because they let you go really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Sonic games, you always want to go really fast, but in every Sonic game, if you go really fast without some memorization of the levels, you're going to hit a lot of things. Or in Sonic Rush's case, you're going to fall down some holes and die.
Well, the soundtrack was awesome, I know that.
Okay,
that's something I was kind of used to by then.
It's Hideki Nakanuba. You can't help but have an awesome soundtrack with him.
That's true.
And we had the introduction of Blaze, I believe her name is.
Worst character.
New Sonic
character.
character.
Oh, that's an awesome character.
Big the Cat's sister, right?
Blaze the Cat is the best newly introduced character in Sonic since Knuckles.
Are you fucking kidding? What's so cool about her? Nothing. She's just a big recolor. She's just Sonic with flames. So lame.
Well, no. We're talking about her personality, George.
I don't give a shit about personalities. All the personalities, characters, Sonic's. I mean,
that's actually makes her better is that she plays like Sonic. Every other goddamn Sonic game, you had people who played differently, and they all sucked.
Then why can't they just
no,
put Tails?
Knuckles actually is better than Sonic because he plays better than Sonic. But
I just don't see the.
if you're talking about Big, I understand.
it should have
Tails.
just been. It should have just been Tails. I mean, shit. I mean, who cares? I mean, why do we need a new character? Like, I don't see the purpose. Like, when Shadow came in, there wasn't another Hedgehog that was evil. So it was like, whoa, if Sonic was evil? That's crazy. I don't see the point of her. Like,
George hates girls.
I just hate girls and cats and the color purple. Except for
Well, Blaze kind of lends Sonic Rush its own identity of sorts.
Yeah, for a while they only had her in those games.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Well, and Sonic 06, but we don't talk about her in that.
Well,
I will say her origins are kind of messed up as hell. She's from another dimension. She's from the future. She's a queen.
It's not even worth thinking about.
Well, Sonic 06, just ignore Sonic 06. It never existed, but we have to talk about that later. But
yeah, we will talk about that soon. Let's move on to Spike Out Battle Street for the Xbox. That's another Dimps game. It was a successor to 98. Oh, what's up?
I actually have a good story into this, but go on.
Oh, about Spike Out?
Yeah.
Good,
yeah, go on.
I think Knuckles.
I never played it either.
I think Knuckles was. Yeah, Knuckles. I think he wasn't an admin, but he was on the board on the Sega boards at the time.
Yes,
a lot of us on the Sega board pledged to support the title. I didn't pledge. I just watched the pledge, and a lot of people bought it. I mean, I guess, and I think it did pretty well. I guess because I think Sega knew it was going to be a failure, and I think it became a rare game because it was only print. I think they reported 30,000 units printed. And
yeah, it was really small.
Yeah, and I think that was the point of a lot of the Sega board members. They were kind of hoping it would be like Panzer Dragoon Saga, where it'd be, you know what I mean? It was expensive after a while.
Yeah.
So I guess a few of them bought a few extra copies and kept them brand new. But
was it good?
I have never played it.
I heard it was terrible.
I don't think it ever dropped. I waited a year if it got cheap, so I could pick it up, and I never saw it get cheaper than $40 online. So
it's one of those games we've never played. It could be great. It could be. I bet it's so-so. I bet it's not awful.
I heard it's pretty awful. But
really?
I heard it's like really broken, and it's a port from '98. What do you expect? You know what I mean?
Well, it's a sequel to a '98 game.
It's a sequel.
Yeah.
Oh, I played some of the Spike Out, and they're not that great of a series. I think that's Negoshi's early series.
I think, I see that in it, too. It kind of has that street brawling Yakuza feel to it.
Yeah.
I heard it was a bit like Streets of Rage, except, not as good. But there's a copy of it available for $16.64 on eBay.
Well, there you go. It's still
not that rare.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to get rare.
I'll admit, I thought it was like an extreme beach volleyball game.
That's what I always thought it was for a while.
I mean, look at the name, Spike Out. You think volleyball, and then Battle Street. You think it's like street volleyball, like it's some weird, quirky Sega Japanese game where they're like thugs playing volleyball.
Well, I will say this though, I always liked the fact that they brought back that '90s early gangster look.
Well, that's what your lifestyle is, right?
Where everybody dresses like in big jackets, like Nagoshi.
Yeah. You guys ready to go into 2006? It's going to be awful. Are you ready?
Oh God!
Worst year ever.
Can't we go back to 2003 and talk about Panzer Dragoon some more?
I'm sorry. 2005 was kind of a shitty year. 2006, it really started to get awful. The absolutely horrible. No one likes it, and if they say they like it, they're lying to themselves. Sonic the Hedgehog came out on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Who dares mention anything about this horrible game? I want to spit in the faces of everyone who developed it. And if anyone says it's good, aside from the music, they're a piece of shit. Go.
But if it hadn't been so rushed, it would have been a masterpiece.
You know what really pisses me off about this game? The fact that someone gave it a 9.0.
Who did that?
Got all of our hopes up.
Play magazine.
I own that magazine still. It's in good condition. I should burn it.
Do it.
God, I played that at E3, and I was like, okay, it just must be still really early demo. It must still be in the early beta stages because it was still pretty bad back
That's
then.
what the rest of us said when we played the Xbox Live demo. I actually didn't think it was so bad until I
didn't think the Xbox Live demo was so bad actually. It
Did
played
it come
pretty
with
good.
rose-tinted glasses?
It actually felt like a more developed version of what we finally got. It was actually cut shorter too. If you ever got to play that demo,
This is what I like
it's
to
a
call
cut shorter level than what we actually got. But they tricked us.
Yeah,
What do you gotta say, George?
I remember that when the demo came out, everybody was trying to like trick themselves, like, this is an early build, this is an older build, the new game's gonna be good. I know it. And then when the game came out, I was like, oh, that's pretty good scores coming out.
It was worse and more glitchy than the demo was.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. I remember the exact moment I realized that this was a very, very bad game. I was Shadow the Hedgehog. I was on that wave
It took you that
ocean.
long?
Quiet you. And I tried to play, and I tried to control the hovercraft.
Yeah.
And I couldn't control the hovercraft. It kept moving around like it was skating around on very oily dog shit.
Yeah.
And
I knew it was a horde game that wasn't going to get any better when I played
I
as
died a
Tails.
little inside.
I mean, I'll admit there are things, not maybe games, movies, TV shows where people say they're shitty, but I find, entertainment out of them. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 is probably the only thing in video games, movies, television where I can look at it and I can say it is the worst thing I've ever experienced, and I didn't even pay money for it. It's so bad.
It
There
was
is
worse
some
than Superman
entertainment-
64.
The
There
worst
is some
storyline of all time, too.
Yes, definitely the worst storyline of all time. Oh my god,
The
it's just
only-
stuck a
Oh,
Final
God.
Fantasy story in there.
The only entertainment I get from the game is one, the soundtrack, which is worth downloading, and two, watching the playthroughs with commentary on YouTube. Because those, to see someone else suffer through it is hilarious. It's like watching an episode of Mystery Science Theater. And I think,
Yeah,
what was his, Hellfire Commentaries did a really good one. And
it's an entertaining game to point and laugh at. That's about it.
It's also a good game to like, if you have somebody who's never played that game, give them a few beers, put the game on, just watch them get pissed.
it's so...
And the worst thing about Sonic 2006 is that it gave everybody retroactive amnesia, and suddenly the consensus was not that the Sonic Adventure series and the Dreamcast was good. It was there has never ever been a good Sonic game in 3D. And some went even further as to say there has not been a good Sonic game since Sonic and Knuckles or Sonic 2. And
that's not
it's
true.
like Sonic 06 was so
game trailers
bad.
thing.
So bad that it caused the badness bounced off of Sonic 06 and splattered onto the shit bounced off and splattered onto the rest of Sonic's franchise.
Which is a shame because Adventure 1 and 2, they are fun games, and Heroes, you can find some fun in it. But I hate how people started thinking they were like experts, and they were like, well, I've played through Sonic the Hedgehog 06, and it made me realize that the series is shit, and all the past games, it's just, and also, I mean, on the inverse of that, there are also a lot of people that, and I don't want to call out any forums, but the Sonic Stadium, so I just did. A lot of people, they make these stupid topics where they go, let's fix Sonic 06, and it's like, no, let's not fix it. Let's forget about it and move on. Phantasy Star Universe is the next game we're talking about. I'm angry. Let's talk about Phantasy Star Universe.
No. I want to say one thing. I thought it was. I didn't really say anything about Sonic 06. I thought it was funny that Sega had the balls to say, all right, fuck the rest past Sonic games. We're calling this one Sonic the Hedgehog. We're starting over, bitches. And this is the new Sonic. Get ready. Like, they were so pumped that they took off all the numbers and, little, subtitles and just said, you know what, this is good enough to be Sonic the Hedgehog. It's just the game.
The best credit I can give to Takashi Iizuka is they had nothing to do with this game at all.
Yeah, good on him.
He's like, I'm not going to fucking, no. He left the room.
Saga.
But I would also say so much loading. Like the game didn't even fucking run well.
Oh yeah.
It felt like it was an alpha game. Like it wasn't even in beta stages and it was released. That's what it feels like.
Oh, speaking
George,
of,
Should we each say a positive thing about it before moving on to the next
Fuck
thing?
no.
No, it doesn't deserve it. No, soundtrack is mine.
I liked seeing Blaze in 3D. That was kind of nice.
still sucked.
I like to
There's
see.
no goddamn sense.
I like to see Tails do the jazz hands. That's my favorite thing.
Soundtrack was decent.
Oh, and I'll say that the generation stages were good too. I like those.
Yeah,
The
but
classic,
that's not
The Act 1 was a lot of fun.
I agree. We can move on.
Let's move on to Phantasy Star Universe on the 360 and PS3. Again, this is since it was 2006 and I was kind of out of it in terms of next-gen gaming. I didn't play it at the time. I've played it since, and it did not excite me as Phantasy Star Online did. How about you guys?
Man,
Go on.
want me to say it?
Yeah.
I pre-ordered the PC version because I was like, I'm not gonna get stuck with the PS2 idiots and like, I don't get updates. So I was excited. I went and pre-ordered my copy. I got the soundtrack, and it was like a crappy like sampler soundtrack they gave you for free.
Uh-huh.
And then I went and I kept on calling the day of release. This is when I found out that Sega doesn't ship games of day of release. Like they're not there.
Uh-huh.
They barely ship them out of their like, I guess, warehouse on the day of release. So you might have to come the next day of release date. So I finally got my game Universe. I was all excited. Then I found out online that like you could it doesn't have a CD key, so you could have just pirated the game and it would have made no difference.
God.
So I paid $50. Then I was paying $10 a month to play it, and Sonic Team purposely like locked out content from the game, so it could start unlocking content, but it was already on the disc that you paid for. So they're milking you for content you already paid for full price, so you could play it online. And that's when I found. And that's
Sonic
when
06 for just a moment.
gone.
Oh, no.
Sonic 06, that's another horrible thing about Sonic 06. It also had locked content on the disc. All those Amigo stages and stuff, that was all on the disc, and they make you pay extra money for it. Like those shitty Amigo stages. Okay, go back to PS.
Or the harder versions, even though the game was already pretty impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they did that. Then they added a single player story mode, which was kind of corny, Sonic Team like. You could tell this. See, this is another Sonic Team game we're talking about. So I could see why Sonic Team games were so bad. They were doing like huge games like 2 a year. So yeah, that sucked. The online mode was okay, but like it didn't feel like Phantasy Star Online. I wasn't addicted. I was like bored of it like right away. Like I think I played like at least 40 hours into it when I first got it. And I was like, yeah, I've had enough. I've already played 40 hours, way too much. So, like, I tried to force myself to like it. It didn't work out.
There's just something that wasn't as fun or exciting as the Dreamcast version. I couldn't put my finger on it.
And the content, like, the unlockable content later on was just so slow. And, like, they did an expansion pack. But it just felt like it was, like, this should have been free already, like, a long time ago.
I think that part of it is it just didn't have any story or direction like the previous ones.
Oh, yeah.
I think the art style in Phantasy Star Online 1 was way better than Universe.
I just skipped Universe altogether because I didn't really want to pay $10 a month, and then I read all these poor reviews about it. I think if it got the same fanfare as Phantasy Star Online 2, I probably would have eventually gotten it. But it just didn't really seem very interesting, which was kind of sucks because I remember being really excited after I saw the trailer because it looked really cool. Like the big ass sequel to the Dreamcast game.
Yeah, I only played it for about 2 months, and I thought I canceled my subscription, and then I figured out like months later that I was still getting charged long after I stopped playing it.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something positive. Let's move on to Yakuza. I think we're getting a little down.
The Reign of Nagoshi? Tan Man?
This can kind of cover the whole series. We don't need to spend too much time because we have so much more to talk about. But who played the first Yakuza starring Mark Hamill on PlayStation 2?
I did.
Did you like it?
I rented it.
I want to hear Knuckles' negative feedback first.
It's not negative so much as underwhelmed.
I'm gonna punch you right in the face if you ever say underwhelmed to a Nagashi game ever again.
The game.
That's not how I roll.
The thing that really kind of there was one thing about the game that I really didn't like, and it was the battle system. The battle system in the original was really clunky. I had like difficulties lining up my punches and stuff. It didn't feel as slick as it should, as a beat 'em up should. It felt too much like really. It felt like a lot of kind of mediocre fighting games I've played, and the story I recall is also kind of lacking. And
are you serious, dude? Oh man, I'm gonna punch you in the gut.
It was to me. It was just the story was also too dramatic at the time. I actually got bored in places. I think it's part of it is it was a little too ahead of its time as far as the way the game was. I enjoy the game a lot more on the next gen consoles than I did on PS2.
Well, I guess it's my turn now. We already heard the wimps talk about it. Let me tell you what men think about this game.
What do you think?
I think the game was excellent. I actually, it was not on my radar. Actually, I didn't really care about it when I saw the titles and stuff when it was in Japan. But Sharky got me into it out of all the people. He's like, it looks pretty good. He started freaking linking me to a bunch of videos, and I was sold. Then all of a sudden, Sega of America announced the U.S. release date, which gave me a bigger boner. And then the biggest boner was when Mark Hamill was playing one of the characters. I was like, oh man, it's like Sega just wants to juice me for all it's worth.
Yeah.
And then I played the game, and it was like the U.S. translation was really bad. Like at the time, I didn't really think about it, and I kind of let the fuck words go. But now I played it again, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's so ridiculous. It's like, get the fuck out of here, you fucking idiot. And it's like every 5 seconds would be the word fuck. And I
I think we can all agree though the series just kept getting better since then though. The second one was the one I played.
Yeah.
And
second
I
one
love
was when
that.
the series began to get really good.
I think the second one is when they hit their stride on the PS3 the PS2 because the first one had loading issues. The fighting wasn't as good as the second one, but the ending I thought was for the first game Jason does bring up a good point with the story. I don't think it's that it's over dramatic. It's that they spread it too far. Like in one mission you're trying to try to find somebody, and then all of a sudden you get sidetracked, and then like the main missions are like side missions for people you know. Yeah. And it felt like they were just trying to extend the story. Like the story was only like 6 chapters, but they made it 12 chapters because they had to sell a game.
The storyline, I remember it confused me. I lost track of things. It was too big, and it didn't really give you enough time to let things soak in. You know, I couldn't really remember the names of a lot of characters or their motivations, who they connected to now. I will say I liked...
Sega did a good job with the menu system, though, with that. Like, they had, like, a nice profile for each person.
I liked the characters, though. I liked kind of the noir-style detective. I forget his name. And Kazuma was also kind of a nice sort of gray area hero. I found his the girl. I forget her name. I found her to be kind of annoying. Kind of like the Anakin Skywalker of Yakuza.
You mean what's her name? Fuck, I forgot her name.
I guess I remember her as like Mayumi from Shenmue, the one who took care of the kitten.
Yeah, she gets slapped in the game. That's like the best part of the game. She gets like,
I thought she got slapped in
and then Ryu, like turns around and he just slaps her in the face. I was like, hell, that's how it's done.
Nice.
But,
should we? Oh no, go on.
Go on.
Yeah. I do love 3 and 4, but like I said, it was part of it was the graphics were kind of murky, and the story was just so hard to follow on the first 2.
Yeah.
Apparently, the game ran like at sub SD graphics. Apparently, it's like somebody told me it was like 1040i or some crazy stupid like that. So I personally would like to see Sega re-release them on like US, like both of them, digital titles with like the Japanese audio intact, because I would like to play the Japanese audio story, because I'm sure there'd be some stuff.
I'd like to see the original Yakuza also get kind of a improved fighting system, like just take it out too and stick it in.
I don't think they should improve the fighting system. I think it needs the Yakuza 2 battle system.
The funny thing with the Yakuza is having it subtitled instead of dubbed is an improvement.
Well, I get you. And the loading has to be improved too, because I'm not going to wait through all that.
If it's a digital title, loading shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Unless it's Sonic 06.
Yeah, of course. I'm ready to move on if you guys want to.
All right. Well, speaking of fighting, 2007 brought us Virtua Fighter 5 online with on the 360. Now, I know Virtua Fighter 5 came out earlier on the PlayStation, but I figured I'd add this one on just to, give the 360
I was one of those dummies who got the PS3 version and it wasn't even online.
Yeah. No, I mean, care. Did any of you play the game back in 07 or even recently?
Yeah,
I played it on the PS3.
Okay.
I played it on the Xbox. Okay. I didn't get a PS3 until 2008. So there you go.
Because you wanted to play Sonic Unleashed, right?
No, because I wanted to play Valkyrie Chronicles. But I mean.
Oh man, I can't wait to get to that.
Yeah, but Virtua Fighter 5 actually online was actually a pretty big upset to a lot of early PS3 supporters. A lot of them felt kind of betrayed by Sega for it, and I mean I could see their point of view, but then again, the Xbox people did have to wait a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was a fair trade, and by that point, they were probably the PlayStation fans. I mean, if they weren't tired of Virtua Fighter 5 by that point, they were hardcore enough that they should have just gotten the 360 to play online if they cared that much. I don't know. It's a fun game offline, too. There's that great kind of fake arcade mode where you go around to Club Sega and all those arcades and play the game. I thought that was really cool. Oh, that was 4?
I think 4 had it. It had something like that, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think it did. I remember it more in 5 than 4, I think, for some reason.
That game kind of had a pretty strong community online, mostly Japanese players, but
yeah,
they kicked my ass, man. They kicked my ass.
Oh yeah, man.
I remember there's this one dude that he played as that old dude that looks like Landy, that we all call Landy usually.
Ginyu? Genfu?
Yeah.
Shenmue.
And he picked him, and he was doing these weird kicks where you couldn't really block it. It'd be in the middle between your mid and it was so weird. And he just kept on kicking me and always break my block stance. And he beat the crap out of me, man. I played that guy 50 times because I didn't want to lose. But it was terrible. Those Japanese players, man, they know how to play.
Oh god, they're not even into Sonic, but every single Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Generations, super speed run I ever see is from coming out of Japan.
I know,
they do
and
these insane speed runs where they
boost
somehow
past
jump over
a quarter of the level.
Yeah, somehow they're able to do that. It's insane.
Yeah, it's weird because Sonic's not very popular in Japan, and yet there's all these. That's where some of the best Sonic fan things come out of is Japan.
Yeah.
I also remember when this game came out that I'm trying to look at other games. You didn't put Viking, huh?
I didn't. No, I didn't get to that. But I did put I think I did put another Creative Assembly game later on.
Well, I'm going to bring it up later then.
Okay.
Virtua Fighter 5 Online was good. It also, the Xbox version was crisper. This is actually what started the whole downhill for the PlayStation. It's early in its life cycle. Yeah. You got to feel bad for Sony. First of all, they released the overpriced hardware. Then they were cocky about it, saying that people should get a second job. Then they were pretty much pretty smug about it because where else are you going to play? Where else are you going to play Dante? Where else are you going to play Virtua Fighter? You know what I mean? And all of a sudden the third parties are all, you know what? Fuck it, and they just went to 360. And this is actually one of my bigger upsets, kind of. But not really, because the 360 was in my price range at the time.
It eventually did catch up, though. It took a while.
This is what led me to buy a 360, because I wasn't impressed by the 360 when it launched. Like, it didn't have enough. Like, it felt too Western. But when this was announced, I was good to go. So,
Virtua Fighter 5 was actually one of the reasons why I originally picked up a PS3. I was kind of peeved when Xbox 360 got a better version.
And you paid $600, didn't you?
No, I actually got I was actually a frugal Jewish person. I got the $500 version.
You
that
shouldn't
didn't
have done
have
that.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's a terrible part of that.
Yeah, I eventually I just had to buy the old $600 model for $350.
Can you believe that Sony couldn't afford fucking Wi-Fi for $500 of gas for price?
Well, to be fair, the Xbox, Microsoft was selling their Wi-Fi adapter for $100. Rip off.
I got mine for $50.
But,
and I heard it doesn't work that well.
It was a gorgeous game.
I'm thinking about buying one so I could connect the Xbox in the living room for. I mean, my brother still plays.
Mine works great.
I just don't play
the
Xbox
360.
I don't know what it is. Sorry, go on.
The Xbox 360 Wi-Fi used to be really shitty, but they released a new model a few years ago that's a lot better. So.
Oh, okay then.
Go ahead. Just don't buy a black buy a black one, not a white one. The white ones were terrible.
Okay.
Mine was really spotty.
It sounds a little racist, but I'll keep that in mind.
Well, let's clean things up. Let's talk about
superior to white ones. Yeah.
Let's talk about a clean sport. Virtua Tennis 3 that was on all platforms. Sumo developed that. What did you guys think about that game?
I didn't play this one, so you guys had to skip.
Didn't play it either.
I
Not a Virtua Tennis fan.
I like Virtual Tennis. I just skipped this one because
I'm a huge Virtua Tennis fan, but I also skipped this one, though I did rent it, and it felt.
I want to
nice
actually
to put it on the list when nobody's played it.
I actually want to add something to this. I'm pretty sure that the Sumo only did the Xbox 360 version and the PS3 version was by AM3.
I
that was
thought Sumo
controversial.
only did the Virtua Fighter 2009. I thought that's the one that they did.
You mean Tennis, Virtua Tennis 2009?
Yeah, Virtua Tennis.
They did 2009. This one was developed by AM3, and and it was ported to 360 by Sumo Digital, who added online mode to the 360, but the PS2 version didn't get online mode.
Okay, and then what I was thinking too was with 2009, which isn't on this list, was that's when Sumo took Virtua Tennis 3 and they updated the game and made it their own, even though it was the framework was all Virtua Tennis 3.
Yeah. So
I just added it here because I thought it was one of those games where it wasn't great, it wasn't horrible, it was just one of those mid-range games that I felt that when it came out at the time, it didn't have the same excitement as Virtua Tennis 2, and I think Virtua Tennis 4 recaptured most of that, but Virtua Tennis 3 is definitely a game to skip because Virtua Tennis 4 is far better.
George is correct. Sumo Digital made the Xbox 360, PC, and PSP versions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the PS3 version was AM3. I think that was I remember it was I used to visit a message forum, and I remember the PS3 fanboys there were making a big rough about it, that AM3 was doing the PS3 port because they're superior developers or whatever, because they're Japanese. And in the end, they didn't even get online, so whatever.
Sucks, dude.
Yeah, you should have let Sumo handle the job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How about Crush? Did you guys play that on
Yes.
the PSP?
Eventually, yeah.
This is around the time I actually started writing at SEGA Nerds, so I didn't do a review for it, but I think Chris gave me the copy. This is before I joined SEGA Nerds, but I read it actively, and Chris had a contest for to give away a copy, and it was for their podcast. I would listen to their podcast, and it was try to what was the question? It was you come up with a unique idea for a puzzle game and you get a free copy. It was at the time when SEGA Nerds was first starting up, so nobody commented besides me, and I got the free copy.
Nice.
And so that's how I play that game. And I remember I was pretty upset about it because Sega didn't really announce the game at all. Like, the day it came out, they updated their Sega.com site with a picture that it was out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's funny. They never hyped it the first time, and they haven't hyped it much the second time.
And it's
Now
funny.
it's selling at GameStop.
And you know why they changed the art style the second time? It was to make it more marketable. And yet they don't market it.
Yeah, it wasn't even marketable look. Like, all right, whatever. But it was a good game. It was really underrated. I wouldn't say it's spectacular. I don't think it was going to be like a AAA title, but it's a solid, great. It's like a solid 8, a great game.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what
I had difficulties getting into it myself, but I could tell it was a really fun game.
Yeah, I enjoyed the early on, but
I just never had the patience to sit down and play it for a long span of time.
I enjoyed it early on, but the further you get into the game, the further they kept adding more and more rules, and you never had just a chance to use the game the way it, just with the rules it had. It kept constantly adding new stuff to it, like it was a constant tutorial.
That game is a pretty good example of a game that if it was a PSN/Xbox Live Arcade game, would have probably won awards and probably made more money.
Absolutely.
I do recommend.
They dropped the ball with the 3DS release. They didn't jump into the downloads.
At $20, I still recommend it on the 3DS. That's an awesome.
I would recommend getting the 3DS version, especially if you want to see more Crush games. I mean, while the art style is god awful, it's basically an all new Crush title, and they've added things like hints and stuff so that you don't really get stuck if you ever get stuck, you can just buy a hint.
Right.
But it was a good title. I think it was the platform. I think anything you release, this was a mostly Western game. I don't even think it came out of Japan. So if you're not marketing the game in Japan for the PSP, then you're pretty much just looking at a failure. Like,
yeah.
I mean, most people that wanted this game probably pirated it. And the other people that were Sega fans probably got it for free off of Sega Nerds Contest. So there you go. But
2007, in looking back at least at those 3 games, it shows that they did have a step up in quality. I mean, the games, none of them were like AAA titles or 10 out of 10s, but they're, I definitely take 2007 to 2005 and 2006 behind.
Yeah. This really was when Sega began to find their footing again.
And this is when I started getting into the games too, and we'll get to 2008, but that's when I actually bought my 360 was in 2008, and I started to actually get into the Sega titles again and started reading blogs like Sega Nerds and other ones.
They suck.
So they do, but. Getting into 2008, let's briefly touch on Sonic Unleashed because there's a lot of Sonic talk in the next few years as well. But
I think we should add one title to the 2008 because I remember this title vividly.
Which one is that?
Chronicles. Because
I
have a good story on that
first?
one. Huh?
Okay, go ahead. Talk about Sonic Chronicles.
The last bad Sonic game.
Well, I mean,
or semi-bad.
There's a few good. I mean, the game brought good moments for me not because the game was good, but Sega Nerds actually got the website name on the credits, which is kind of funny because I remember Chris like a few years ago was like, "Did we really get her name on the credits?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't even think I beat the game." So I didn't really like it. I didn't even beat the game, so I had to look it up like online if we got her name in the credits. A few years after the contest, Sega did a contest. If you named a planet or you named a race, you would get into the website would get into the credits.
That's funny.
And it was between I think us, Sonic Rex, Sonic Stadium, and a few other ones, and we won. We got the most votes, so that was pretty good time.
It was Zoa, right?
From we did Zoa. Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, we did a Panzer Dragoon kick throwback.
That's very cool.
So I think a lot of the Sonic websites probably got a little bit gypped on us because we were not a Sonic website.
We were happy.
Yeah, I was happy about it. I know a lot of Sonic fans didn't understand the throwback, but I thought it was I liked it, and we were pretty happy as a website at that time, and yeah, that's the only good thing I could say about that game. So
Nice.
I was pretty excited because BioWare was playing it, but then when I actually played the game at SEGA, it just felt weird. Like,
Yeah.
they gave us a preview, and it was just weird.
It wasn't a bad game, I don't think. I think they had some good
I think it's
systems
not
to
what we
it.
expected. I think everybody expected more of a Mario RPG type where they made it fun dialogue. It just felt like bad dialogue.
More of a traditional RPG that they weren't expecting.
Yeah.
I think the dialogue was okay in parts. It wasn't the worst written Sonic game I've played.
No. Not the worst, but it wasn't doing itself any wonder.
It is the reason Ken Pender's trying to sue Sega and EA, though, because it's kind of obvious that there's some stuff that they took from his Knuckles series in there, like a Lost City of Echidnas and a Julie Sue type character in Shade and what have you.
Well, and thank God Sonic Unleashed didn't have any of that shit going on. That's one thing I liked about it. On the did any of you on Sonic Unleashed? Did any of you play the game on release?
I
yeah.
did. I had to review that game, so.
What'd you think?
I was very excited about that game.
I gave it. Everybody at Sega Nerds, we all did one copy. I got the shittiest fucking copy. I got the PS2 version. I had to review.
I played that.
And it was like just the Wii version, I guess, port. The game, I gave it a low score, and people got really mad, mostly because they said I wasn't playing the HD. But I got kind of mixed up though when I was like, that was one of my first like big games I reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
So I got kind of mixed up on a few little things, like one of my first reviews. I got mixed up when I was playing the HD game at the same time. I kind of put some of the stuff from the HD in there, which I shouldn't have, but Chris was supposed to be editing, so there you go. I gave it a low score, and then I think Graham gave the HD version a low score too. I had to agree with him. I thought it was it wasn't bad, but it also wasn't great. Like, I don't know. I think little stuff like it chopping up kind of frustrated me, and it felt like it was just trying to be too fast.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has been said about the game, so we can't really say anything that hasn't been said. But, I mean, I liked the daytime stages. I hated the medal collecting. I thought it was a huge step up from the last games. And music was good. I think the best things I took away from it were the day stages and the art style, which has since been the go-to art style for the series.
Yeah.
The humans kind of looked like a Pixar movie, though.
Yeah,
I love the way the humans look.
They didn't look like creepy like zombies in Sonic Adventure 2.
That's one of my favorite people.
Really?
Best
I
in town.
disagree with you guys on the game stuff. I actually love the game.
When the game came out, I actually took all of my bag Sonic games. Sonic 06, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Riders. It was a bad game. Sonic fans, get used to it. And I took them all to GameStop, and I traded them in. I put them towards Sonic Unleashed. I was like, I'm absolving myself of all my past Sonic sins. I'm getting this really awesome-looking game.
The problem with the game was that... Sorry, go on.
I brought it home, I stuck it in my Xbox 360, and oh my God, I had never felt so happy playing a Sonic game in so long. It was so fun just blasting through Apatos. It was like I could actually go up against the side and not against the side of the level, not get caught on the environment. And it was just so fast and beautiful. It was like it reminded me of Afterburner Climax and Outrun 2. It was kind of like a blue sky arcade kind of game.
Yeah.
It was. I really loved it, and admittedly, yes, the Werehog stages weren't very good. I wouldn't say they were bad, but not very good.
I played worse.
I've played worse too.
Levels
Oh yeah, I've played worse too, but it just.
I think, frankly, treasure hunting and doing mechs and stuff like in Sonic Adventure 2, I think we're doing Werehog is better. My biggest problem with Werehog
was the best alternate play style in a Sonic
my
game.
problem with Werehog is that they're too long. They're way too long.
Oh God, and they took the timer away from you.
if they were half the length that they were, I'd actually really defend them and enjoy them. But they're just way too long. They're boring. But as far as daytime stages, I absolutely loved them. And a lot of people laugh at me and NeoGaf, but I compared them like to Super Mario Galaxy as far as quality goes.
Super Mario Galaxy. Okay, I thought you said New Super Mario Brothers.
I'm just talking about the daytime levels.
Yeah,
I'm just saying in quality, not that No. That they're better than Super Mario Galaxy.
I know where you're coming from, but
Super Mario Galaxy is a better game, but I think in terms of quality, it's up there.
The problem with that game is this is the problem with Sonic Team is that the marketing team comes into play when they're developing a game, and like they have to market it somehow, so they have to add something to. It can't just be a Sonic game. So they add the
learn their lesson until 2010.
What happened?
They didn't learn their lesson until 2010. With what we're talking about.
Too soon.
The problem with Werehog is that it's like 70% of the game. The stages are boring. It's uninspiring. The combat sucks. They want to talk about crappy combat, Knuckles. That game, that right there. It just felt like you were just spamming the A button over and over again until things died, and it was like so boring. I didn't want to play that.
Yeah, I'd say like playing through it the first time, it's a 6 out of 10 game thanks to the Werehog. But then once you replay it, and you like, I forgot the Werehogs in the game because every time I booted up, I played day stages and the downloadable content. And then
if the game was just Sonic, it probably would have been better. They added a couple more levels and stuff.
See, that's what they learned with Generations. Even though Generations is a much, much shorter game than Unleashed, just having modern Sonic and classic, just having pure Sonic gameplay was the best choice, no matter how much shorter it made it, And
I don't care. I don't think Sonic games should ever be long because then they're bloated. They're over bloated and they have stupid shit to stretch them out. I got excited when I was hearing Generations was a short game. People were like, "Oh, I finished it in 5 hours." I'm like, good. I don't want to be spending 20 hours on a Sonic game because then it's not a Sonic game. I've never played.
5 hours is actually pretty long for a Sonic game, and that game actually they handled Sonic Generation correctly. They added stuff that was kind of stupid, but it's cool for fans. Like they could go back and play it. That's what I like.
You can't talk about Unleashed without talking about Generations, even though we're jumping ahead a few years,
Well, at least it made some of the trademarks that still stuck around, especially mainly the modern stages.
It felt like okay, this is what I would consider Unleashed. Unleashed seems like it's like a little bright star that they're coming back, but they're not all the way there yet. They still have some of the staff that are saying stupid shit like, "Oh, we should make the Werehog super slow. Wouldn't that be awesome?" And then they start firing those people after Unleashed.
It's like 50% great.
Yeah, it's like would it be cool if we make half the game shitty for no reason? And then they're like,
So what would you say, like each of you, what's one big positive from Unleashed?
The modern stages and the music's great too.
The new engine was pretty sweet. I mean, I think it was the fact that this is like we're watching Sonic step out of shit, like basically, and finally, you know what I mean? Like, know what they're doing with a 3D Sonic game. So that was cool. But then the Werehog, it had to be added on to ruin it and whimper.
Okay. How about you, Knuckles?
It was very, very fast.
It was.
Like the fast, I thought people liked the platform.
Gotta go fast.
Games. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't think the Sega Genesis games were that fast. I think the whole Sonic has to be super, super fast is a marketing term, and I think it got added on to the newer games.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of kills the platforming the game had, and you know what I mean? Why people liked it. I don't know. That's my
platforming. What's that? They didn't have any platforming in that game.
Which one?
The 2D sections.
Sonic Unleashed.
Sonic Unleashed didn't have any.
Yeah, I guess said that. Didn't have any platforming.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I like that aspect of Sonic games.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I didn't like about Unleashed.
It had a little bit, but not as much as Generation Color.
I don't think it had
like when you're jumping off the disc on one of those levels. I forgot what it's called. One of those like black people levels.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the levels were called.
I know.
Empire City.
The black people level.
Yeah, the one with the black people in it.
Maybe African.
Right.
Oh wait,
Missouri.
You mean Missouri?
No, wait.
Year?
And this is an aside, but considering that there is no America or Africa in the Sonic world, would then an African American be a Missourian Empire Cityan or a Missourian Gun Federation? What would it be?
Well, keep in mind, the Sonic world probably never had Jim Crow and slavery, so they probably just call them black people.
You think?
Yeah.
This is something I'm going to bring up at the Sonic Stadium, and I'll probably get banned for. So
Don't get
We'll
banned
see.
from Sonic Stadium.
One other thing I'd like to say is I actually enjoyed the hub worlds quite a bit, even though a lot of people didn't care for them.
Sonic kind of
Yeah, they
walked
were neat.
weird though. Have you noticed that?
Because it gave the Sonic universe a really nice big world. But my only complaint is there was no like anthropomorphs. It'd be more like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, where they have they have half humans, half talking animals, and make a lot of sense.
You know what's
I
weird?
really liked Spagonia. That was a really great hub. Nice
Yeah.
music and atmosphere. It felt kind of like a Pixar world.
That's what I was saying. It's Pixar looking.
what's weird, George? What was weird?
No, that was weird that like I've just noticed that like when I play that game, like when you walk as Sonic, it just looks weird. It looks like he's not even connected to the floor. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's like Sonic Team could never get a walking stance for Sonic Down. They're like, how do we do this? We know how to do him running, but not walking. You could tell in that title they don't understand the concept of walking. But
Well,
it
how
looks
about,
weird when Sonic walks.
Well, we'll come back to Sonic in a few years, but Valkyria Chronicles, that's something George wants to talk about because that's why he bought a PlayStation 3, right?
Yes, I bought a PS3. I remember I had to do the review for Sega Nerds, and I bought the PS3 because I really, really wanted to do it. So Chris is like, all right, buy your PS3 and you'll do it. So I got my PS3 around the same time that the game came out, and I remember I got that and I got Little Big Planet as my first. I mean, I pre-ordered Little Big Planet. Man, I was pretty impressed. I seen the game before. It was at one of the previews for Sega, and they were talking about it and stuff. They really, really hyped the game. Like I thought it was gonna have a huge marketing budget. Sadly, it didn't. But they were talking about it like it was like one of the best games they've ever created. They just like I saw a lot of titles that day, and like this is like one of the titles they kind of made it seem like it was. I mean, they cared about. I mean, like you could tell when this game's not going to be that great when they show it to you. Like a lot of the people were just talking about how gorgeous the game looks, and then the game looks great. It's no powerhouse graphically, but I like the art style. I think this is
all about the art style,
and it has a great throwback to Skies of Arcadia. The gameplay was fun. The graphics was great. The music was good. The characters were fun. They were kind of like anime-ish, like stereotypical anime characters. But I like anime when I was younger, so it's always something I like. So I liked everything they had. I mean, it was a very Japanese game. It was a very Japanese game, and something that I think this generation needs more of. So Valkyria Chronicles is probably going to be in 10 to 15 years. A lot of people are going to be talking about how legendary that game was and how you know what I mean. We need to have it back.
Definitely.
We really need a new game on a console.
It's very I don't know what they were thinking. The PSP, they pretty much wanted to kill any hopes of that game getting popular in the West.
Well, no, I think the PSP version was just the only way it was going to get a sequel because it's cheaper to make a PSP game. The PSP had a larger market.
But then they already have an
had
engine on the
successes on
PS3.
PSP by then.
But they already have an engine made for the PS3. I thought it was kind of a waste.
Yeah.
But I do agree, in 2008, I mean, it was still kind of a bumpy road to be a PS3 fan. Like, you didn't know what was going on. There's been so many titles that went to 360. Like, it's very rare to have exclusives even then. So
Valkyria Chronicles, to me, was really the first game Sega had made in eons that felt like it could have been on the Dreamcast. It felt like a Dreamcast game. It had that unique art style, had that unique gameplay, had that great storyline, had that whole Sega feel to it. It was just
Even though
it really was a gorgeous game too.
Yeah.
With that pencil kind of canvas art style. It's a real shame it didn't do better than it did.
Yeah, I'll admit I bought it when they had that big GameStop sale, and I think it was $40 or $20 at the time, and I jumped in kind of blind to it. I didn't know a whole lot about that game at the time, but man, I was surprised at how good it was. I really enjoyed it.
No, Barry, when are you going to buy a PS3 so you could play this beauty?
Oh, hey, it's Emmett from our forums. How you doing? No, he's always telling.
Oh,
He's always asking me. He's always asking me why I never bought a PS3. It's because they're too fucking expensive right now, and I also don't want.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a price drop, but I see you buying one maybe this winter when it's like a price up in a few.
It'll happen. It's one of those things where it's like if I have that money, it's gonna go towards something else besides video games. And if it did go towards video games, I really want to get a new portable because I haven't had a portable since Game Boy Advance. So
get a Vita.
Wow.
And we're gonna play. We're gonna play a game together, and we're gonna meet Barry and George.
I might get a Vita.
Town.
Yeah.
All right.
So
that'd be cool.
I don't have anything to say about Chronicles, unfortunately, but I wouldn't mind getting a Vita eventually. So.
Wow.
I really hope they eventually put out Valkyria Chronicles 3. I wasn't a big fan of 2, mainly because it was just doing these anime high school tropes that I didn't really care for at all.
It was kind of kind of weird.
The gameplay was still great, but I didn't like any of the characters, or I loved the characters in the first one.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from. I thought it was a cool break, but it wasn't as good as 1.
Yeah, I played the demo of the Japanese Valkyria Chronicles 3, and that looks just crazy. It's back to, the civilians trying to fight to keep their homeland stuff, so it looks a lot better to me.
I've actually bought Valkyria Chronicles 2 twice. One for my PSP, and then again on the Vita. And I've yet to actually play it.
Oh, that's pretty good. You're the best Sega fan, the one that doesn't play the games.
I'm a horrible person. I also
you bought the game twice and have never played it once?
I don't know really what
That's got to be a new record.
Because I haven't Valkyria Chronicles. I haven't beaten Valkyria Chronicles yet. I kind of the game was getting really hard, and I just kind of ran out of time for it when I was into it. And so I don't want to play 2 until I finish 1, but I wanted to buy 2 before I couldn't find it new in stores anymore because I wanted to support the release. And then I got a Vita, and I thought, oh, God, I really want to play this on digitally, right? So I got it again, and I guess I haven't gotten to it. But that's how much I love you, Sega. I'd love you more if you brought over 3.
You'd buy it 3 times.
Yeah, they'll buy it 3 times and then not play it.
I'll buy Valkyria Chronicles 3 times, I promise.
Sega Superstars Tennis.
Yeah, let's wrap up 2008 with Sega Superstars Tennis. I put this on there mainly because it kind of it kicked off the Superstars series, at least on all platforms. I know the iToy had one.
I'm pretty sure this is. I'm pretty sure. Never mind. I'll bring it up on the Talking Creative Assembly because we're gonna need something.
Okay. Well, I mean, my take on the game, I was really excited to get it just because it was the first real multi franchise, multi developer Sega games since really. Well, I mean, aside from the iToy one. Yeah, since Fighters Megamix, and even though it wasn't a fighting game, it was just really awesome to see things like Golden Axe mixing around with Sonic and Outrun and Afterburner. Alex Kidd wasn't
the first Sega.
He was on there.
The first the first Sega Superstars game was actually a PS2 game, which is like a crappy webcam game.
Yeah, I bought that eventually. It's not that, but the thing is that the characters don't intermingle in that game. You play mini games, but they're all stuck in their respective franchise.
Though
but Sega Supers,
I kind of wish Sega would just do a mini game, like every mini game is set in one of the worlds, I guess, and you kind of get to play like that game with other people. I don't know.
They could totally do that for Connect and Move. I think that would be awesome.
But Sega Superstars Tennis, solid game.
It was good. I mean, it was definitely not, Virtua Tennis 2 quality, but it was like a cartoon.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Tennis.
Look, let's be honest. The reason I was so excited to play
got me to buy a tennis game, so that's pretty good.
The reason I was so excited to play it was because it was a pretty solid title, and it's not like we always get to have a game where it's just all Sega mashup characters. So this was pretty good. I was really, really excited. And I played it online for a few times. The problem was that the online community was dead right away.
Yeah.
But
that's what I hated.
So I had to play some Italian guy that really liked Mario.
And it's one of those great Sega games that just did not do well at all.
I'm surprised it didn't do well. I thought it did all the right moves. It was advertised pretty well too, I remember.
Yeah, you can find it used with like a second titled game for like $5 now.
I think that's what led to Sega changing the name with Sonic and Sega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sonic. Buy it, Sonic fans. You'll love it. It has Sonic in it. It's like Mario Kart, except with a bunch of other Sega characters in it.
That's actually something I hated. It also, a lot of reviewers would be like, it feels like we're playing a Sega game with a bunch of unknown characters, and it's like, are you fucking? I sometimes I feel like I wish all the reviewers were like just like get together so I could just strangle each one after another. But
yeah, no. Couldn't they just overwhelm and beat you up if you got them all together?
Yeah, right, dude.
Most of them can't fight,
dude. I can't fight either, but
George,
I choke some bitches out.
George, you're gonna do it, and then it ends up they're all like in wheelchairs, and you're gonna feel bad.
I'm not gonna feel bad. I'm gonna. Anyway.
I mean, I added it to the list though, just because I thought it was a pretty big deal. I think, back in the day, the only way to get a whole bunch of Sega franchises at once was to have a Dreamcast, and so it was really fun to get one game that had all of these characters from the past together. It was kind of like, even though they're spread out on all these consoles, you get one game where you get to see like a PlayStation 2 franchise and a franchise that you only find on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox and GameCube all coming together. So
it kind of felt like a love letter to Sega fans, like, oh, remember these games you guys used to play, now you guys play shitty tennis games. I mean,
when it came down to it, it was like, I keep throwing review scores, but I'd give it a 7 out of 10 in gameplay. But in terms of fan service, it was definitely a 10 out of 10. I think it had better courts than All Stars Racing had in terms of.
Knuckles is all mad. Look at him. He's like, oh, it didn't have enough Sonic characters on it. I couldn't play as the bear character from.
No. It's not the lack of Sonic characters. I just felt the game was underwhelming, and it didn't really have enough Sega characters from.
I don't think it was
underwhelming.
I would say it's a good game. I don't want to say it's a AAA game, but I think you could tell that this game was not going to be made if there wasn't cuts. You could tell it was budgeted. It was Sega seeing if they could do this kind of game. Like, it felt like Sumo was the one pushing the game.
Yeah, that's for me, the best thing about this game is that it led for Sega All-Stars Racing, which I love.
We'll talk about later.
I see it's not on the list.
We'll talk about it anyway later, though.
Yeah, man. In the next hour, we'll get to it.
Oh, God.
And we can move on because we're going to be here all day. But
yeah, we are going to be here all day. Let's move on to 2009, the year of swearing and blood, with Mad World. And let's actually group these two together. Mad World and House of the Dead Overkill, both for the Wii, both fucking violent games. What do you fucking think about these fucking fucking games, you fuckers?
This is why they didn't do too good, though. I mean, they're on the Wii. That's like when they had the Conker's Bad Fur Day on the Nintendo 64. Not the kind of crowd for the Nintendo crowd.
I would like to say that actually House of the Dead Overkill did pretty well for being a rail shooter in the new age,
Pretty fucking well.
Yeah, pretty fucking well.
House of the Dead Overkill was the first game I'd ever reviewed for Sega Bits. And that's because it's one of my favorite games of the generation. It's got a great sense of humor. It's just a really, really well done light gun game, in my opinion.
I'm gonna leave for a little bit. I'll be back by 2010 stuff.
All right, man.
What the fuck?
Have fun in the bathroom.
Yeah, man.
If someone doesn't care for 2009.
I know. This is actually the time where Sega's Mike Hayes was like, "Hey guys, the Wii has hardcore gamers," and then like the sales numbers of Mad World came out, and they're like, "No, I guess not." No.
Well, House of the Dead Overkill was basically made because House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return sold well on the Wii.
Yeah.
And that was basically a reaction to that. And I don't really know. Do we have any kind of sales numbers on Overkill?
We don't, but I remember them saying that Mad World and Overkill did make money back. So.
Okay, so there you go.
Mad World. Matt, you could buy Overkill and you could buy Mad World right now if you really wanted to for $7 brand new on it.
It's so cheap. I mean, these games, I go to the store and I feel bad not buying them, even though I already own them because they're so cheap.
I don't even know what the fuck to do with all these copies. I just have them stacked up.
Overkill I've actually bought like several times over. Like every time I have a friend or family member who's just got a Wii, I say, "Oh, hey, here's a free game for you," and I just buy them Overkill.
That's nice.
The game is like $7.
And I bought the game for myself twice because, as you can see, this is when I kind of came into some money. But
Right.
yeah, I actually bought the game for myself twice because I lost my original copy and I didn't have it for like a year. And I really just wanted to buy another game. So yeah, but Overkill, that was I really loved that game. You know, Mad World, it was fun. I never actually beat Mad World though. Did anyone here beat Mad World?
I've never beat it, unfortunately.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I beat Mad World.
I liked it though.
Yeah, I reviewed it, so I had to beat it.
It was fun, but it didn't really leave on me the same impression that Overkill.
I thought the best part of the game was the ending. Like it made Jack seem like an actual character. Like before, it just made me feel like I'm just killing a bunch of things because, well, fuck it. That's why. So when you get to the end, it's like they give him a little more character, and it was pretty cool. I liked it. It wasn't anything amazing. You're right, though.
I mean,
I would
do you
personally
think
suggest everyone who's listening to this go out and buy these games, new if you can, for your
I'm pretty
Wii.
sure Overkill.
Because I know you're not playing anything else right now. You've beaten Rhythm Heaven and Xenoblade's not out yet, so go on. Buy some good games that I know you haven't bought yet.
But
go on.
You can't beat it for $7, and if you have Prime, you get it in 2 days at your house. Come on.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So I definitely say 2009 was the year of Wii, and even though they weren't internally developed, they were still awesome games, and I really don't get it.
That's another thing about that Overkill. All you people who say that the Western developers suck at making Sega games, Overkill proves you not correct. I'm sorry, it proves you not correct.
I like how you want to say they proved him wrong while we're just me and Barry in the
I'm
background.
trying to be nice. I know that they're going to tear me apart in comments or on Twitter. One of the two. They're going to tear me apart like all those stupid Tales fans.
You know what I can say? You know what I can say? I can say fuck them.
I'm not going to say that. I like a lot of people
I know. I say if we're talking about a game with so much F-bombs, we can say fuck. But
yeah, motherfucking fucker hell. I mean that.
There we go.
Just the whole grindhouse atmosphere of Overkill. I just loved that.
Yeah.
And the storyline just got so effing crazy.
Both that and Mad World had some pretty ingenious stuff. House of the Overkill had that whole old film vibe, and Mad World was all in black and white.
That was nice.
There's actually a pretty important part in Sega. Like this is when one of their like bigger producers came up. Like I forgot his name, but he's pretty young actually, and he was producer on Mad World. I think he was producer on Binary Domain. He was on Vanquish. So this is like the new style Sega, I guess you could say. This is like the start, Mad World and Overkill.
2009, I think, is when Sega really got back on its feet. Late 2008, 2009, 2010. This is when Sega got really good.
Yeah,
again.
And also they came to rely on a lot of really great external developers who then became either first party or pretty much first party, which brings us to actually, and we may not have played this game, but Empire Total War came out on PC.
I'm back.
Of course, Jason's back at the
2009. You're early.
About.
Which one now?
Wait, go on. Empire?
I was saying Empire Total War for PC was the Creative Assembly game I threw on here, even though I know they made Viking as well.
But you don't fucking like that game.
Fuck it. No, I love that game, but I wanted to at least put one Creative Assembly game on here, and even if we haven't played Total War, if we wanted to say a few things about Creative Assembly.
Okay, a Creative Assembly is a pretty underrated developer, I think, in terms of Sega fan feedback. A lot of people don't like them because they don't make Sega, I guess, arcade games.
Blue skies, man.
Blue skies, and they have pretty nice blue skies in Empire, though. They make really, really, really good PC games, but technically, I don't think I would be able to get into them too well because I'm at a point in my life where I just want to play Sega-like games. Like, I want to go in, I want to shoot people in the face, and I want to look hella cool doing it, or I want to drift really cool. I mean, I don't want to like sit there and go, all right, guys, let's plan out my next move.
I think it's great
their economy.
I think it's great that they're there for people who love the franchise, the series, the type of games, though. And also, it's cool to see Sega again getting that kind of. Back in the Genesis days, they had internal developers making every single type of game, and there may have been Sega games you never played because you didn't like the type of gameplay, but it was still a Sega game. So people saying that it's not blue skies and all that nonsense. I mean, there were tons of games back in the Genesis era that weren't blue skies. Like
let's not forget about the Sega Technical Institute with
exactly.
Comics World, the Ooze.
Exactly. So I mean, it's there for people who like real-time strategy. It's not my thing, but I'm really happy that Sega picked them up and that they're doing what they're doing. You know.
Or who say?
Speaking of real-time strategy, there's also Game Ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's not real though. I mean, that's different. I mean, compared to this kind of strategy, this is deep strategy.
Oh yeah, but it was a Genesis title.
Yeah,
you know.
But I'm saying like so okay, before this. Sega sold a team before this. They kind of bought this team with the same amount of money. Obviously, they just didn't trade them in. But
it was Sega Racing, right?
No, Visual Concepts. It was before that. It was a few years before that, I think. But
I mean,
that's what I consider the trade that like Visual Concepts left Sega and they got Creative Assembly and Sports Interactive, which I think is a lot better idea. I mean, better trade because. Visual Concepts is basically dead, isn't it? The company?
Well, no,
yeah, I think so. They're 2K, right?
Yeah, they're 2K now. Like they only do basketball games because the football franchise got taken away. I think Sega selling them was a good idea, and I remember at the time a lot of people were angry because a lot of people liked those.
Well, I mean,
2K5.
Sega didn't need them anymore because when they had them, it was the Dreamcast that really needed sports games, and once the Dreamcast was done, it's like, why does Sega need to develop like NFL 2K whatever.
To compete with EA, and the last year that they did an NFL game, they did this really neat move where they sold it for $20 and it did really well.
Yeah,
then EA gets bought the NFL franchise, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, but okay, this is the problem though we were seeing here. I don't understand. Like, okay, it's okay for Sega to have Visual Concepts, aka an ex-EA company.
Yeah.
Make sports games for them, which obviously most Sega fans did not care about before.
Yeah.
But when they buy Creative Assembly and they're still doing their own kind of games like Empire and Total War. I mean, Empire Total War.
Yeah.
They get pissed and they're like, "That's not Sega, man." And I'm like, neither was Visual Concepts. I mean, their own stuff, and they bring that to Sega so they could, fucking make it nice and fat. You know what I mean? Expanding to new audience.
To be fair, back in the days of Visual Concepts, Sega was known for sports games on their consoles. I mean, Madden NFL basically started out big on the Genesis. I
think the first one was exclusive to Genesis.
Uh-huh.
I think there was like some PC game, but as far as console games go, it was. It basically started on the Genesis. The sports games were initially really big on the Genesis, and so Sega had this whole Sega Sports thing that kept going through the Saturn and into the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they sold Visual Concepts, and so we have these years where Sega wasn't really making any sports games, and.
They still make sports games. I mean, Virtua Tennis.
Well, there was a couple years
the Olympics.
After Visual Concepts where they really only had basically Virtua Tennis, and that was it. But Virtua Tennis, even that was kind of more of a blue sky game than.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Creative Assembly? Like, I think it's funny, but they're outside of Total War, they haven't really gotten something that hits. Like, I've noticed that Sega's been trying to get them into the console market.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's where the money's at. But it seems like every time they go in, something has to happen. Like, what was that game they were making? I forgot the name. Like, it sold like one copy.
Spartan?
No, not Spartan. It was after that. It was a strategy RTS game for.
Oh. I don't know.
Shadow. Man, what was the RTS game called? Nobody knows.
No, man.
No clue.
RTS.
Put Creative Assembly PS3 and then put something, man. Right.
It's a Google race. Whoever gets it first.
I'm already on
Stormrise.
Wikipedia.
It came out right there in autocorrector.
Stormrise.
It was called Stormrise. Google it, Stormrise. This is made by Creative Assembly Australia, which is now Sega Australia. I guess it got renamed.
I saw that at the store, and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, it's this is supposed to be. Sharky was kind of hyped for it. This is supposed to be Creative Assembly making RTS possible on console, and they had this thing called Whiplash. Like they trademarked it. Sega was making a big deal out of it, and it was like the way you play it, and then it doesn't even fucking work. The game's glitchy. It wasn't even finished. There was no hype around it. It was just crap. And then before that they did Viking, which is like I thought was a solid game. It just felt unfinished. It felt like they rushed it out the door.
Yeah.
But I think it had all.
Didn't Sega have another strategy game?
Huh?
Didn't Sega have another real-time strategy game that had aliens?
Yes, that's Stormrise.
No,
Yeah.
there was another one.
Oh, Universe at War for PC.
Yeah, that.
Made by
I actually
the
bought
X
that.
Studios. There was hype surrounding that one because it was made by the X Studios, that made the original, I think, called it Command and Conquer, or something like that. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of hype around that game, and it was like Sega's new RTS franchise and their first game as a new developer.
Yeah.
And it came out and it was not hated, but it was like it was disliked because of the lack of content. Like there's only 2 playable races, I think. So
There were 3, I thought.
3 maybe, yeah, I think it was 3. But they were really, really detailed, like different from each other. It's kind of like StarCraft, where it's a little bit, but they're really detailed and deep. And nobody really bought it, even though Sega kind of put out a lot of ads for it on PC magazines. I remember Dell, the computer company, when they bought Alienware, they would like every time they showed an Alienware computer, they would show a little advertisement in the monitor for it.
Oh, cool.
And it was like it didn't hit. It was just a bad title too. Universe at War. It's such a cliche PC title, you know. So
it sounds fake.
yeah, it's like so that didn't hit, and that was that's nothing to do with Creative Assembly though. That was a different.
But, I mean, to wrap up Creative Assembly, would you say they're still doing well though? I mean, they're definitely not.
Yeah, they're doing.
Oh, aren't they?
Great.
Don't they aren't they like doing really well?
A few nights, yeah, they're releasing a new Fall of the Samurai expansion pack for their Total War 2.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty sweet, and I talked to a few Sega fans that play PC games, and a lot of people saying that they were surprised when they bought the Samurai Total War. Like, if you like Japanese culture and samurai culture, that you would love that game because you have to go around and look, you know what I mean? Like, it's very detailed into the culture and stuff.
Yeah, that
cool.
one got picked up by a lot of people who don't normally pick up RTSs.
Yep. It was $7.50 the other day on Steam too. I didn't pick it up though because I thought it was gonna last longer, but it didn't last long. The sale.
Oh.
But
Creative Assembly gets the thumbs up.
I would say that they're a good developer. I would say their only weakness is that they can't get their console stride. But I think their day will come one day, and they'll release a really, really good game like Viking. A completed version of Viking on consoles.
Well, let's move into 2010. It was in my opinion, very good year. This is when I started to really for Sega Bits was actually around by this point, and we started writing about all these games. So really, there's not we'll talk about them, but I definitely think we wouldn't spend as much time to talk about what happened just a year ago.
Yep.
But
2010 is 2 years ago, bro.
2 years ago. Yeah. So I know Jason wanted to talk about Sonic Colors, and we'll also cover Sonic 4 Episode 1 briefly as well. So
I would like to do an intro. Yeah, the site launched. We didn't even talk. Okay, yeah, the site launched on February of 2010. So yeah, a lot of this stuff is probably on the site. But yeah, you could talk about Sonic Colors.
Yeah, I didn't talk about a few months later, but we're gonna definitely talk about
because they came out first. They came out January of 2010.
Which one?
Bayonetta.
Oh yeah, well let's talk about Bayonetta then.
Because it came out.
Oh yeah.
This is my last.
You're the king of action games, baby.
This is my last. This is my last review for Sega Nerds, and it was actually pretty cool because this is like one of the only times that Sega gave me a game in advance, like super advance. I think it came like a week before its release date. I think it was a mistake they sent it to me because I didn't even ask for a review copy, but fuck was I happy, dude. I came home and I was all excited, and then I look at the package and I'm like, what is this? Open it up, Bayonetta, bam, straight to the video game console. I got the 360 version. Yeah, that's the version that Sega was sending out for reviews.
That's the better version, right?
Yeah, the better version.
Yeah, definitely.
I really, really liked it. Man, I did a pretty positive review, but I think they didn't use it because I left. Like they know I left, and I think they just disregarded my review. But
I think I saw it
gave
on
it a
there.
positive mark, so I don't know if it's still.
We can't find it anyway. The Sega Nerd site
Actually,
fucked up.
I can use Web Archives to look at the website before they mess it up and turn it into crap.
Uh-huh.
So,
I'm still trying to get an archive from Chris. It's looks like it might be a little bit of work, but I might be able to do it and put it up.
For me, Bayonetta was the last game that I actually imported in advance. I imported the PS3 version when it first came out back in October, even though it was coming out in January, because I was just so excited to get that game.
Uh-huh.
I was really hyped for it. And yeah, the PS3 one, it's got a horrible frame rate compared to the 360 one, but if you look at it solo, if it didn't have the 360 to compare it with, it's still an awesome game.
I like Bayonetta. I think that game changed the way I saw fighting games. It's kind of weird. I mean, action games. It's kind of weird because, like, at first, I really liked Ninja Gaiden 2 when it came out on Xbox.
Uh-huh.
The bloody one, not the PS3 re-release. But something about it, like, I liked. And then I played Bayonetta, and then I went back. Oh man, it felt like Ninja Gaiden 2 was like a generation behind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just felt like Bayonetta felt so smooth on the Xbox 360. It was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous game. And then I played against Sigma 2 on the PS3. I only played 2 levels, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to beat this game. It's too fucking. I can't believe how fucking stupid this game is. Like, and then when I saw like Ninja Gaiden 3 get like a 3 out of 10 from IGN, I'm like, of course it's gonna get a 3 out of 10. I mean, when the dude plays Bayonetta like 2 years ago, and then he plays fucking this game, it's like, are you serious, man? You guys didn't learn shit from fucking Bayonetta?
I mean, yeah, there's very little bad things to say about Bayonetta. Maybe people talk about the story, but I could give a shit. I really like the gameplay,
I like
the music,
the characters too. Like
the characters, the Sega references were awesome.
Talking about how sexy the game was. The game.
Hang on, and Afterburner. Wait, no, not Afterburner.
It was after. No, it was
At the funeral of Eggman.
Space Harrier. Sorry.
Yeah, and Eggman died. But it's I mean, it's the one of the few Sega games that I'd give like an solid A, maybe even A+ rating to. But and also it brings up the argument too of is it a Sega game because Platinum Games developed it? And anyone who argues that it isn't is just hateful, because I mean, Sega paid for it. Sega owns the IP, and
Sega picked the direction. Publishers do have a point. Like, Sega gave them the freedom they needed to create this title. This title would have never come out on EA. Do you think EA wants a game about a girl that kicks ass and looks super sexy and doesn't really have a storyline for the first 4 hours of the game?
No.
No, this game was never going to happen if it wasn't on Sega.
Well, it definitely would not have happened at Capcom because there wasn't enough Street Fighter. Yes,
and they couldn't re-release it later with the added DLC.
Yeah, they would have put in day one DLC on the disc too.
The game was great.
Bayonetta. That really did kind of make me rethink what an action game should be, because it was really fast and had this like the whole dodge mechanic where if you hit the dodge button at the right time, you just disappear. And
it also like kind of like
circle around and start striking the enemy. It was great.
They also added like it felt great killing these things. Like, there's something about like Ninja Gaiden had that feeling, but it was only because they made it so gory that every time you killed people, you love seeing the blood splatter everywhere. But after they took that element out, it was boring. Like with Sigma 2, like I told you, it was like, it just doesn't feel the same. But when you play Bayonetta, it doesn't need that gimmick. Like, it just feels fun destroying these things and like using all their weapons and new moves. And it was great. It was a good game. What pissed me off was that people wouldn't even give the game a chance. They already hated it just because it was a sexy woman on the cover. Because women being sexy, that's sexist. Yeah.
One thing surprised me. One thing that kind of surprises me about this game is that it didn't piss off any churches.
Yeah.
We didn't have like anyone like Rush Limbaugh or Pat Robertson saying, "This game is from Satan. You're playing."
It has a slut. It has a hole in
it.
With,
killing angels. It is sacrilegious. That's what it is.
It is pretty sacrilegious, which is it's even more surprising that it didn't get much, press.
And the fact that
I actually,
it didn't get censored in America is pretty. That's saying something about Sega.
Yeah.
I actually sent Jack Thompson an email saying, "Look at how violent and horrible this game is. Why don't you talk about it?" Nothing ever happened, of course.
Yeah.
What happened? All right. Yeah, Bayonetta was good. The PS3 version was a big letdown. This is another thing about this game got a lot of negative talk because they were saying Sega's lazy, Sega's ruining the port.
Yeah.
I think in the end of the day it was that Sega Japan did not put. I mean, I think the PS3 version was a last minute thing. I don't think Platinum Games had any ambition of doing a PS3 version. And
did they leave it to a third-party developer? A second one?
It was Sega. Sega people did it. I think they said it was people from that worked. I guess their special Europe team that ports. I think it was, but I think they were undermanned anyway for that game. But
one thing that you're kind of beginning to see in this is that the PS3 and PS2 got a lot of bad ports from Sega.
yeah, that's true. I mean, they did really well, but this one, they were not on their ballpark on this port.
Yeah, they weren't on the ball.
So,
I will say my brother... I was going to say, I will say my brother only owns a PS3, and he got that game, and he actually enjoys it very much. It's a game where if you don't have the 360 to compare to, it's still an awesome game, but in comparison, it's just terrible.
Yeah. When we're talking about Sonic Colors, can we also talk a little bit about E3?
Sure. We'll get to that.
All this for me.
Let's put Sonic Colors last. Let's talk about Yakuza 3 briefly. We already talked about Yakuza 1, but this is the first HD game for the Yakuza franchise on the PlayStation 3.
There was a PS3. There was one before it.
Oh, okay.
But the Samurai one.
Yakuza Tenzin, yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't count in our eyes, though.
I mean, I'm looking here from a Western perspective, but
okay, sorry.
Did you like it, or was it a piece of shit?
Oh, it was a piece of shit. No, it was really, really good. It's the first time we saw the Yakuza universe with an actual 3D camera.
Yeah.
That was great. The game looked, at the time, it still didn't look as good as the other PS3 games.
No.
Yeah.
But it looked good enough for me to shut the fuck up and just play the game.
Yeah.
And the game was over the top. It was crazy. It was fucking 100% Japanese, man. That's all you could say about that game.
Yeah.
It made me a Yakuza fan, finally.
Yep.
It took the third one.
But yeah, it fixed a lot of the issues that people like Jason had. And they finally, I guess, the third one I think is what perfected, I guess, the formula.
Mm-hmm.
Or added a bunch of new stuff. It's kind of like Sonic Heroes, but done right, I guess. Because like in Part 4, all the new characters, they feel like badasses, but it's not like when you get a new character and they're like, okay, we're gonna have to make this guy a badass, so of course we're gonna have to make the old character look like a piece of shit. So no, these guys all looked badass and felt badass, but then when Kazuma came into town, they got their shit kicked. That was what was gonna happen. But so I think Yakuza 3, which is the last, I guess, solo Kazuma game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the best. I think I like 2 story wise, but 3 was the best, I guess, playing game.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
The less problems, but the second game had the best story.
Yeah. The only thing I could say bad about Yakuza 3 was the beginning of the orphanage stuff. It just went on for way too long. I couldn't care any less about those damn orphans after a while.
Yeah. Also, have you played Part 4, Jason?
Yes, it did play Part 4. That one I enjoyed a lot
That one
more.
also has a slow start, right?
Well, no, it's you got with Kazuma and what's her name?
No. The start in Part 4 is Yakiyama and like the whole cutscene with him, and it like literally the first hour and a half of the game felt like I was reading the whole time.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
that's the one problem. That's my main problem with the Yakuza series is it's way too story heavy for its own good. Actually, I can't say that about Yakuza Dead Souls because the story is very simple on that in comparison.
So, good game?
Yes. It's if you have a PS3, when you get one, Barry,
yeah.
I want you to go to the store. I want you to purchase that game. I want you to smile at the lady behind the GameStop counter, compliment her on her looks, tell her you're married, you can't have sex with her.
Uh-huh.
Maybe in the future, you never know. You want to keep your book open, and then you buy the game and you play it.
All right. I'll do that for you and only you.
I'm glad your wife doesn't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, me too. Seriously. Well, let's shove that under the rug and let's move on to Sonic Colors, as it's called in Europe, and Sonic Colors, as it's called over here.
U.
Yeah, that pissed me off. That's
actually something I got at WonderCon was a large poster of the box art, and it has the U on there.
And you threw it away?
No, I still have it. I just put it up last Sunday.
I think that game. I think the game Color, the name Color shouldn't have been used just because the different spelling. That's it. I wouldn't have used it myself. But I think the game name is fine. I mean, I think when it first got announced, people were like, "It's a coloring book game."
I thought it was entertainment.
No, it was originally marked as a children's game. Even Takashi Iizuka said this. That's what he was planning on.
And it was fucked up.
But everyone loved it so much, loved the concept and where it was going, that they decided, okay, no, we're gonna mass market it more.
I guess that's what grown-ups wanted. They wanted a kid Sonic game, one that was aimed at the, not at dark storylines for teenage kids, but
and it worked a lot better in its favor.
Yep, I think so.
The dialogue is very corny, but it has that Saturday morning cartoon feel, which I really like.
In our interview with Takashi Iizuka, he actually told us that the game will have lots of things for older hardcore players, which it did.
And then he laughed at you.
It really irritated me so much that no one really listened to all the things in our interview. Whenever he was misquoted or mistranslated, and people would take it out of context, I'd take the interview and say, "Here's what he told us," and it's like, we don't care what he told you.
It's just I feel like that game. There was a certain fan base inside the Sonic fan base that wanted to hate it and wanted to watch it fail. Yeah. And I think a lot of it had to steam down to the. I think a lot of it had to steam down to the fact that it was on Wii. It wasn't a sequel to Unleashed, and I think a lot of people were like, if they felt it was kind of a downgrade.
I disagree. I think it was getting a lot more positive press than Sonic 4 was. A lot of people were hating on Sonic 4, and they saw this and started to change their mind about it.
Sonic 4 for being a hated game got pretty good reviews. I mean, I gave it a pretty alright review because I was talking about when I played the game, I was thinking about I wasn't thinking about the Genesis games. I try to think of it as its own game. The physics aren't as good as the first game. All right. But I wanted to move on. Were the physics bad? Were they unplayable? No.
Yeah. No.
And when I reviewed it, I said it was the best platformer I played on the iOS platform, which at the time I thought was true because all the other ones were like really cheap touch kind of flash-based games that you could finish in maybe like 15 minutes, or it was just a bunch of dumb puzzle games. So I mean, not to move away from Colors, but Sonic 4 Episode 1, if all we're going to say about it is I thought it was good enough. But I know people who said, well, good enough is not good enough. And I'm like, well, I don't care. I don't lose sleep at night over Sonic 4.
It could have been a lot better, in my opinion. Should they have put the retro physics? Yes. You're just asking to get fucking killed by fans by just, hey guys, what do you guys think about Sonic 4 with a new physics engine? It's like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, and then now it has the proper physics engine, and they're complaining about not playing as Tails in single player or the level design, which most of the levels they haven't even seen yet.
Yeah, they've only shown like clips of bumpers, which you asked my question last time on Sonic Talk about that, so I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait,
but
that's crazy. But I feel that Sonic Colors was the turnaround for the series completely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was when Takashi Iizuka took the hedgehog by the quills and steered him into a better future.
Yeah, as much as
we didn't talk about Dark Knight, Black Knight, huh? Okay, I guess we want to talk about
what are you talking about? What is that?
No, we won't talk about
I
that.
don't know what this Black Knight is that you speak of.
I will say, as much as Takizuka is horrible at interviews, as a Sonic producer, he's really turned the franchise around.
Yeah,
you got to give him credit for that at least.
Yeah, that was really probably one of the coolest things about going to E3. E3 2010 was my very first E3, of course, because it's very hard to get into that thing. And I got to see like Sonic 4 and Sonic Colors at the same time, right next to each other, and it was like, oh my God, Sonic the Hedgehog is back. And the one thing I did kind of learn from my experience was that I really did not understand the classic Sonic physics, because I had a certain way of playing Sonic where I always had my finger on the D-pad, and so I didn't notice things like if you take your finger off the D-pad, Sonic stops moving in midair, and stuff like that. You know, I never really thought about testing that. I just thought about testing some kind of basic momentum things, and for me, like, it worked fine. It worked fine, and at the end of the day, it was still a fun game.
It's still a decent $15 low budget Sonic title.
It's like $3. It's like $4 now on iOS and like Android. So
yeah, it's pretty cheap. But you know, we have episode 2 coming, and I think it looks way better. And I mean, despite them saying that you know, there will be no episode 3, and our controversial podcast does talk about that, but doesn't really give us any information on it, so people can calm down.
There will not be an episode 3. It's just there's no plans for it, which that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
In video games. That just means we're not working on it right now.
Because they're working on episode 2.
Well, it's because if you see the interview, he says right away they want to wait for feedback on episode 2, meaning they're not going to start work on episode 3 until they know what people hated on episode 2.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying about Izuka. He's not good at interviews, and he kind of crisscrosses what he says. Like, he's saying that they finally got Sonic the way people have wanted him and everything, so it's okay to do spin-offs again, and that makes people freak out. But then another interview, he says it's okay to do spin-offs again, like Sonic Colors, which was a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And also wasn't a spin-off because it was in Sonic Generations alongside all the mainline Sonic
I
games.
think they planned it for a spin-off, and then people were so well received to it they made it a main title.
To me, Sonic Colors feels like the Sonic CD of the 3D era for a lot of reasons, because it takes place on a little planet. The game itself was released on a non-traditional platform, at least in terms of all the other main series titles. You could play on an Xbox or a PlayStation 3, and all of a sudden they had one that was thrown off onto the Wii. And then the other reason is that it had a gimmick, but it didn't overtake the Sonic gameplay. You know, it's like
the gimmick actually enhanced the gameplay instead of taking away from it.
So does this mean that the Sonic CD is going to be the center of a future downloadable trilogy?
It could
like
be
Sonic Adventure 3 and 4.
Yeah, Sonic Colors could actually have elements. And actually, we might as well just get into Sonic Generations right now. 2011 Sonic Generations was.
No. I want to say one more thing. I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
I think another part. I think some like Sega fan in me kind of either wanted to watch the game like run on actual Genesis hardware. Like, I don't know why. It would be
there was
cool.
A huge petition for Sonic Colors to be on HD consoles. Oh wait, that's not related.
No, that's not related.
Sorry.
No,
sorry.
I wish it kind of was, but then when I played Rayman Origins, I kind of felt that's what the game, Sonic 4 should have been. It should have been an HD full release title where they go crazy with all these like little extra things you could unlock just to make time. You know what I mean? You get more things.
Yeah.
And
well, to be fair, if they had done that with Sonic 4, people would have hated it, and there'd be no way to redeem it. Because
a lot of people like Rayman Origins. I'm surprised even the hardcore fans.
if they did it like Rayman Origins.
I'm not saying they should do it like Rayman. I mean, I don't think it should be Rayman Origins with Sonic.
I'm not saying anything bad about Rayman Origins. I'm saying that Sonic 4 Episode 1, if it was done like Rayman Origins, it would be basically the entire game, except with better graphics, but still with all the same physics and gameplay design of Sonic 4 Episode 1. So there'd be no way for them to improve it with Episode 2.
But if you play Rayman Origins, it's a reboot of the whole Rayman franchise in brand new HD color, and the physics kind of feel the same as the old Rayman games. And they added 4-player co-op. I just think that Sega could have done that. They could have went all the way like they did, and Ubisoft even said they made money back from that game. So I think that's what it should be.
If Sega did, the physics still would have sucked, and the fans still would have.
Yeah, but you never know. Maybe if it was a bigger title and they weren't rushed out the door, and it wasn't. It could have been a lot better. I mean, you never know. I mean, they probably would have listened to fan feedback a little bit better because it's a $60 title. But I mean, you never know. So Sonic 4 Episode 1, it is what it is. Sonic Colors. Probably going to be known as the biggest turning block for Sonic, especially since they got new voice actors. They
well, let's move on to Sonic Generations. Let's blast through 2011 and get this thing done.
The last thing I'm going to say about Sonic Colors is currently it's my favorite of the modern Sonic games, even more than Generation.
This is going to be a long podcast. I just noticed. But
it is, isn't it?
That's all I'm going to say. Let's go to 2011.
When we started, I was thinking to myself, this is going to be a short podcast. Barry's a moron. This is no special podcast. Now it's like 3 hours. So let's do this.
Maybe we should release it in 2 parts.
We could take next week off.
We want to do the interview with Aaron.
Oh, okay. Well, Sonic Generations, all I got to say about that.
Like over 2 or 3 days.
Sonic Generations, good game. I think we've said so much about it in talking about past titles because they either reference it in levels or they reference it in like Unleashed introduced what later became Sonic Generations standard modern gameplay. Great game. Great game. What do you all think?
Of which game?
Sonic Generations.
No, that game sucked.
Oh, okay. Moving on.
No, Sonic Generations, to me, it was like the perfect, like, hey, Sonic fans, thanks for buying your shitty games. Here's a gift. kind of game. It was like, all right, you guys didn't get colors, but here's something even fucking better.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? You get to play as classic Sonic and modern Sonic, and that's the whole game mostly. You don't have to touch other characters. That's crazy. And it's funny because I've noticed that every time you progress through a Sonic game, the game gets more and more buggy.
Yeah.
It feels like a Sonic team starts from level 1, like you are progressing in the game, and like the later levels are kind of fucked. Because that boss in that game, that boss needs a patch.
That's the only negative.
Yeah.
It has the worst end battle.
The final boss was not very good.
But it was also shitty boss. That boss fight was ripped right out of Sonic Adventure 2, and it sucked on Sonic Adventure 2. I don't even know why they even tried it.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say the BioLizard one sucked. I like BioLizard.
No, I think it sucked. I don't like it in that game either. I don't know. I just think they should have done a more platformy, like I was kind of hoping there was like a big mecha Eggman where you slowly have to platform through him and destroy parts of him. I think that would have been awesome. But
one interesting thing about the ending was that it actually connected itself to Sonic Colors. Another reason why Sonic Colors is not a spin-off.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a debate the Sonic fans have.
Which is very rare in Sonic games.
I'm still kind of pissed he ditched Storebot and Cubot because I really like those characters.
Well, they came back in Olympic Games.
Yeah, they're alive. Actually, that's something we didn't talk about, but Olympic Games was actually a pretty big moment for Sega sales-wise.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about
the uniting of Sonic and Mario. That's a pretty big thing.
George wants to go to sleep eventually.
It's
I have to
talk.
eat too. That's why I went away to microwave my dinner, but it's still in the microwave.
All right.
Well, let's move on to Shinobi 3DS. I think we've talked a lot.
This is my game. Yes.
What do you got to say about
finish that review. Yeah.
Well, hold on. One last. Never mind.
What do you say?
I was going to say one last thing about Generations. Is that's the first Sonic game I could think of.
Go on. We've
pretty much every
Sonic
fan was united for, where they're not. They're just all over the map. They either hate this one or they love that one.
And another thing about Sonic Generations, another example is Izuka being very bad at interviews. When he told us that the handheld version of Sonic Generations was going to be all about the handheld franchise, and they weren't going to use the Game Gear version, the Game Gear games, the spin-offs.
Yeah,
and it's like the first time we did an interview that actually people talked about. And then it turns out the so-called handheld history were two games, Sonic Rush and Sonic Colors.
And the whole reason we brought it up is because we were asking what people were wanting to ask about why there's no Wii version.
Right.
And he says because of the whole portable history. Well, it's not, really.
Though I'm personally happy that wasn't really a portable history because I had no interest in revisiting the Game Boy Advance or DS games.
Yeah.
But and I was happy that we got to see a casino level and the Mushroom Hill and Emerald Coast. Though Speed Highway was a really lousy level, I have to say. That almost kind of ruined the game for me, Speed Highway. Anyway, Shinobi.
Yeah. Say a little bit about Shinobi, and then we'll go on to the next one. What did you think about it?
Well, you know how you said Bayonetta is one of the few games you give an A to?
Yeah.
Once I finally finish Shinobi, I'm giving that game an A. Because it really is probably one of my favorite side scrollers. Mm-hmm. It's really fast, really hardcore, and it has this neat parrying feature, where if you're quick enough with the trigger button, you can actually block all these attacks. And once you're able to begin nailing down the timing, it really gives you the satisfying feeling of just reflecting and bouncing all those projectiles away from you. And if it's something you don't perfect, then you're kind of fucked. But it's one of those really hardcore games that they just don't make anymore.
That's good.
And
I mean, people said it looked a little held back, but I don't care.
What did you say?
People said that it didn't look like the greatest 3DS game graphically, but I could care less.
No, the graphics were not very. The graphics were pretty mediocre. That's like the one dark spot. But graphics aren't everything, especially on a handheld. And but the gameplay was really good. Anyone who wants a hardcore game, like a really hard game with continues, if you like continues and game overs, and you missed that, you can buy this game. You can get that.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what I was in for when I bought it.
Kind of Shinobi hard that we don't really get anymore.
I knew what I was in for when I bought this, so I started on easy mode.
Smart.
I was being a sissy. I don't care.
I was a man, and I played most of it on normal mode. But I finally got stuck on a level where you get attacked by a giant robot shark. And just kept dying. And I finally just threw up my hands and went to beginners so I could finish it, so I could start my review, which I still haven't completed. Yeah. Sorry, guys. But another thing I really like about Shinobi is how over the top it is. I really like over the top games, hence my love of House of Dead, Overkill, and Bayonetta. But it has all these crazy things like you fight a robot shark, you have to dodge the killer robot shark while it's in the water, while it's swimming through lava. You have to you're jumping from car to cars and reflecting bullets and killing things with shurikens, and you're fighting jetpack ninjas on the back of the Afterburner jet from Afterburner. I mean, it has these cool little SEGA cameos and all these little things just make a really good game.
Knuckles.
Anyway,
yeah.
I love how the Afterburner like Jet as a character, but you don't understand. You're like, but what game was it from? That was my favorite part. No, dude, I agree. That game is not there's not going to be a game like Shinobi, sadly. I don't think so after this one.
Didn't Aki say it sold something like 5,000 units in November?
Yeah, I just think...
We need to do something to encourage people to buy it. Perhaps a contest of some sort.
We're waiting for a review, first of all.
A contest in a podcast that was lost because it became corrupted, and then I guess never finished writing up the contest. And so maybe we should talk about said contest at the end of this very long podcast to reward people.
You still have did Sega give you free copies of the game?
No, but I intend to buy free copies of the game. But I intend to buy copies of the game.
Okay.
You should buy some free copies.
You should message them and tell them you're going to do a contest, tell them your idea, and then tell them that
I actually already did that back in November.
Oh.
And then I never followed through with it because I just got busy with other things. And
next
really
time, when you're talking to Sega, you should just follow through with it, because I don't know. I just feel bad, like, if I tell them something and then I don't follow through with it, they're going to be like...
Yeah, I know. I feel bad, too. It's why I...
I don't want them to be like... I don't want them in the office saying, George, the guy from Sega Bits, he's a bitch. He doesn't even follow through with his shit. So...
Well, the Sega community people probably know of my spotty record by now. But, yeah, maybe at the end of this we'll talk about a contest.
Well,
but for now, let's move on a bit.
Yeah, let's wrap up 2011. I just wanted to touch quickly on the quality digital releases that have been going on: Sonic CD, Guardian Heroes, Daytona USA, and Space Channel 5 Part 2. We've all talked about them a lot as of recent, even in actual podcasts in this series. So I just wanted to say that they've finally stepped up, and they did a great job. So
don't forget Renegade Ops.
Yeah, Renegade Ops too.
Awesome game. Yeah, I mean, they really, really stepped up the game. It was probably their best year for downloadable content as far as games go. I mean, we got the Sonic CD with the retro engine, which was just a huge labor of love to the fans, you know?
Oh, God, yeah.
The only thing I would say negative about the digital releases was the Dreamcast releases. It didn't seem like they put enough love into those titles.
Well,
they're making it up for it this year.
Yeah, they're making it up now. But
which actually, let's jump right into 2012, discussing what's to come. We have, like you just mentioned, the Jet Set Radio HD release. Shenmue 1 and 2 are rumored. Skies of Arcadia is rumored. We have Platinum Games' Anarchy Reigns with Bayonetta coming out, which we'll talk about next week.
I'm saying this right now. If you have to buy a game that came out in the last 3 months and it has a Sega label on it, go out and get Binary Domain. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Binary Domain is probably the biggest 2012 game so far for Sega. At least
2012 game so far.
Which one?
Binary Domain, I think, is the most underrated 2012 game so far. I think reviewers didn't understand the game. They were just too busy calling it a Gears of War clone to really understand what the game means, I guess, to the Japanese industry. This basically showed that, like, Sega still has a studio in that they own. You know, it's like a Sega studio that could do Western games better than Western developers. So I think
Binary Domain. That definitely does feel like a Japanese version of how a Japanese third-person shooter should play.
Exactly.
I think.
Namco did the same thing. They tried to do their own third-person shooter. It looks like they copied the art style of Gears of War with Japanese-headed people. Like, they look like Kazuma with Gears of War suits on.
I think I played that one. It was pretty awful.
Yeah, it's terrible shooting. Sega made Namco look like their bitch. Binary Domain is brilliant.
That's nothing new for Sega these days.
10 years, people are going to be giving it the Sega worship job, and I think you guys should, anybody who's listening to this, if it's probably $40 on Amazon, pick it up. It's worth your $40.
Totally.
And
very much so.
We'll play Invasion Mode if you get it on the PS3 or PC.
Or 360. I have a 360 version. So does Barry, because
Barry doesn't have it yet. Barry should buy it though.
I will. I'll get it soon.
I thought you had the 360 version.
No. I didn't get a review copy. I'm waiting for to get paid so I can buy one.
One thing I have to say about this is that about Binary Domain is that they don't quite have really the same kind of meatheads that Gears of War has. The main character, he's muscular, but he's not like ripped and like covered in bumps and stuff. he's actually kind of a bit of a smaller, more average-looking person compared to the Gears of War people.
I also
bulky
don't
with
get.
giant armor.
I also they don't have that. Yeah, they do have armor on, but it's not super giant like Gears of War.
That's what I'm saying. Gears of War.
Yeah, but what I do not understand is like some people on the comments on our blog and stuff. They're like, I can't get into the game. Dan doesn't look like a good character. Like he's not a good designed character. And I'm like, dude, he looks like an American Kazuma. I don't understand what more you want. Like, you know what you're stepping into. Kazuma wasn't a great looking character. I think the only thing that made him striking was his white suit.
One thing I also got to say about Dan is that he's not a badass.
No.
Which kind of surprises me because, Gears of War, everyone's basically a walking badass except for Dom. He gets kind of cryy when his wife dies. But yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing a good take on a good Japanese take on a third-person shooter.
Definitely. So, what would you guys to wrap up the 10 years discussion? Briefly, let's each say what we see for the future based on what we've been all talking about and what it's been leading up to. George, what do you think?
I see a re-release of Shinmu sometime in the future. I think Sega's already doing it. They're doing Jet Set Radio. I think they know what's going to sell. I think Skies of Arcadia is going to come out soon too. And I think obviously another Sonic Adventure game. After that, I see them. I don't know. I think that the relationship with Platinum Games might die off though.
No.
I think when Platinum Games sees that Konami money, Metal Gear money, they're not going to come back.
I think he's right.
I don't know. I wouldn't think Platinum Games would do that.
I mean, they said that they didn't want to work on other people's franchises, and all of a sudden they're working on Metal Gear Solid.
Well, Hideo Kojima probably asked really, really nicely, and the game wasn't doing too well. It was on the verge of being canceled. So maybe they thought, all right, let's save this game. Let's show Konami how it's done with making this game our bitch.
So Konami came and they gave him a big fat check and told him, "Come on, let's do it. Let's rock." And then they're like, "All right." And I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of changes that's been happening to Platinum Games. Like the guy from Vanquish, the guy that did Resident Evil, he started up his own studio, and it's like, I don't think Anarchy Reigns is going to be a big hit because I just don't think Sega West is, I don't know, like promoting it well enough. Like,
true, I've actually kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah. So I think they're going to be moving on with other publishers.
I hope
it could happen. What do you think, Jason? What do you think about the future?
Well, I think, once the Dreamcast died, after they got rid of all their little Dreamcast projects they were working on before, that the creativity of Sega just kind of died for several years. But since, I'd say 2009, 2010, that spark's really gotten back to them, and I only see improvements up ahead.
And I don't want Sega Bit started in 2010. I want to blame all the success on me.
Oh yeah, it's definitely George and Sharky.
Especially Sharky, who's not even here on the podcast.
He's fast asleep right now.
Yes, he's sleeping. All right, then I think this is it for the podcast.
Yeah, Knuckles, you just want
to add something?
Well,
make it short.
I just gotta say, Blue Skies. Blue Skies all the way. Blue Skies is the future. And also lots and lots of digital releases.
I can see that.
We'll hopefully see new entries in franchises like Street Fighter and Shinobi through digital releases.
Awesome. I would also I see digital releases, and I also think Sega has really, really improved their PC outage. I mean, their PC stuff. And definitely. I'm glad Binary Domain is coming to PC, which is a surprise. I like it. I'm happy. So I want to see more I'm excited to see what Sega has for later on. So
yeah, and I'll say to wrap things up, I'd say like Jason said, after the Dreamcast releases and they stopped running out of the IPs that they had originally developed for Dreamcast, the 2004, 2005, 2006 era, they were pretty shitty, but I think after 2007 things really picked up, and I can only see them doing just as good, if not better, than the past few years in the future. So I think that pretty much does it then for our 10-year, 3-hour plus retrospective.
All right then. Next week we're gonna have an Aaron Weber interview.
Yes.
Barry? You still want to do that, right? Of course.
Yeah. I didn't say no.
I know. I know. I'm just saying. I don't know. We're gonna do it next week. I don't know if you were busy. So next week.
See.
All right then.
All
say
right.
bye, people.
Bye.
Bye.
Jason, say bye.
Bye bye. See you later.
And then we play music.